Hello, everyone. Welcome to another MCU crew. I think I surprised Jesse. I got him. He's still recovering.
You got me right as I was. Look, I'm not saying I went back to Disney Plus just so I could bring these episodes up.
Oh,
but
that's what you did.
There's so much to even talk about, but there's so much news today.
There's decent amount of news, yeah. But Jesse,
like a lot of news. It's fun.
The biggest news, Jesse, is have you recovered from Capcom perfecting your dream girl?
I know it's problematic. I'm aware she's not a good person. I'm aware that she's actually a villain, but it doesn't matter. I love Jury, and I always will. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can say to me. And when they introduce the new version, I was like,
Jesse,
yes!
they know what they straight up put her bald foot in there. It's just a straight up foot.
I'm not a big foot guy, but I get it. It's fine.
There's just a straight up Jury foot out there in the wild.
It's just she lifts the guy's face up with her foot. I was like, some dude out there is like.
Then she goes on Twitter.
Thank you. It's about time.
Yeah.
Someone represented my interests.
The enemy.
Not me though. But
the enemy's also like smiling as he's getting. His ass kicked.
He got his ass beat, and he's like pretty happy about it.
Yeah,
I get it though.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Yeah,
I suppose right. So we're talking about the
usual
Jury
Evo
reveal from Evo.
If I wish I could. I wish I could have been there.
I'm not good at fighting games.
But
I will always love their character design.
True.
Always. 100%. Because it's not an archetype you get to see very often, like buff ass, gorgeous women. For me, it was Ibuki from Street Fighter. I don't know if y'all are familiar.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I always like those high thigh slits that come all the way to the belt and stuff. I was like, yeah, no, Ibuki is my bias, as the kids say these days. You know,
everyone, look,
and yours is Jury, and that's okay.
Yeah. Everyone's got a Street Fighter type. I'm not saying, Chun-Li or Cammy are kind of basic, but like whatever.
Yeah. See, for me, it all started with my love for dolphins, and Guilty Gear. That's where it goes for me. Just a big dolphin fan.
That's it. You were just like, I'm a huge May fan.
I'm a huge dolphin fan, and then May came along, and I was like,
and May is attached to the right. So you're not a fan of like any sexy witches with guitars.
No, it's just a dolphin.
But more dolphins, right? I mean, like to each their own.
Just
to each their own.
Is that
no judgments here?
Is that a porpoise? No. What's it? Is a dolphin a porpoise?
Is it a porpoise?
Okay, I love my porpoises. Everyone. I don't say it enough.
Yeah, that little tiny sailor and her sweet dolphin.
Yeah,
Wait, are you guys good at fighting games?
Yeah.
Are you more spectators?
I'm not great. I love fighting games. And I'm not great at them. But I play them every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I know my problem. I can do all the moves. I can do I can do a fighting game, but I can't do it at any sort of like higher competitive level. Just because most of that is mind game shit and like knowing what moves come next and what blocks what and how to like knowing your iframes. I simply do not have the patience, time, or energy or effort to put into anything like that.
Yeah,
and so every time I've sat down with friends who know what they're doing, I'll just be like, okay, counter.
At our store, we had we would have like community fighting game events. And the very popular one was Skullgirls.
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very popular.
Yeah.
And I loved watching it, but I have horrible carpal tunnel. So I will probably never be a fighting game aficionado, because even when I put my carpal tunnel brace on, then my hand doesn't move the way I want it to. But yeah, I used to love watching and like hosting those events, but like I cannot play.
If you want to experience like the nth degree of that, I swear to you, next year I'm 100% going to Evo. come with me to Evo. You will
The MCU
Yeah,
The
let's go to
last day?
Evo. I'll go.
Sunday.
The MCU
Sunday
crew
in the
tackles
arena.
Evo.
Yeah, I would love
arena,
to.
In the finals,
I used to go to the League of Legends events too. I used to go to the
Oh,
North
yeah.
American finals. I used to love going to LCS stuff. It was my favorite.
But I will say that comparatively to any other esport, be it an FPS or a MOBA or whatever, fighting game esports are so much easier to follow and understand because it literally straight up
Yeah.
is two people on the screen.
Yep.
And even if you don't know what
Mhm.
90% of the moves are, you see the life bar, you can see who has the advantage and who's pushing. It clicks so easily.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to even be that knowledgeable to be like, I'm enjoying this. It's like watching either like a UFC or boxing match, except it's computer stuff. And it's super fun.
I'll also
It's
say
great.
FGC has its own culture too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's very different. Like I always said that to me, what I liked about StarCraft is it felt like you were watching golf. Like it's almost like a gentleman's sport. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to describe it, but like there's a very different vibe versus like when like fighting games or like League of Legends. There's more of like I don't know, like there's more.
I get what you're
I don't want to
saying.
say disrespect. Yeah, but it's like a different type of hype.
It-
Whereas in
it's
StarCraft,
more-
it's like, oh,
The
that was beautifully executed.
Fighting games
You know,
are more
like-
personal, is what it is. It's more personal.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't hide behind minions or a team or
Yeah.
anything. It's like if you suck, you suck, and everyone saw you make the wrong move.
Yeah. It's
And
personal.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, last night I was watching someone and they literally just had a combo thing they were doing and then just stalled out and like I was
They
like,
dropped it.
you
Yeah.
could have finished. You literally dropped the combo. You could have won right there and then they lost. And I was like, that dude is gonna be thinking about that for the next year. Because you could you could see it in his eyes that he knew he screwed up, and it was like,
Yeah.
we all saw it too, my man.
It's true.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I love it.
Yeah. There was some
The only
heckling
thing I
last
got
night too. And I don't know if you saw that. Jesse, but-
competitive about personally was like Mech Warrior, and I used to like go to the Mech Warrior pods.
Yeah.
It's this place called the Airlock. And that was
Mhm.
very much one of those, like when my call sign would appear over the pod, I'd be like, fucking see me on Battlefield, bitch. You know, like I was that person. Because like destroying someone else's mech, like it's like that's the only time I've been toxic. I've never wanted to like teabag anybody or be one of those people until I destroy someone's mech, seeing that shit blow up. I'm like, yeah, I wish my mech could like urinate on you or something. Like I just took a dump on your chest. You
Just a
know,
bunch of
like
oil.
I just
You can't
destroyed
do
your
that
baby.
now, Bronze.
You know,
There's no teabagging in
I
Valorant.
loved
You
it.
get banned. You
I
can't
know
do
it was
that.
it was so good.
Did either
That's
of
the only
you-
time my toxic personality came out. Like I'd be like, "You came for me in my dicey. How dare you?" You know,
Did
like
either of
that's
you
the
do
only
laser
time I
tag?
was like that.
as kids? Did you do laser
I
tag?
used to. as a
Sure,
kid.
yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
My
was
uncle
that
owned
kind
a
of person,
laser tag
Bronze,
place.
in laser tag. I would make my name
Really?
something ridiculous, and I would go. I was like a laser tag ninja. Oh
That's
my
weird.
god!
Okay.
I would.
All right.
My friends and I would go and beat up. I think even in senior year of high school. I think once I went off to college, I stopped doing it. But senior year of high school, my friends and I would go beat up little kids. We would roll up in there like, let's roll, and then we just like get sniper positions, just like gun down like families that are like brought their kids. Oh, it was great. We were
It sounds so horrible out of context.
well. Like it was laser tag, and the kids were like they didn't know what they were doing.
They don't.
And so yeah, and then there was these
Oof.
3 dudes who were from this town called Centerville that lived near us, and they would roll in dressed in like camo and stuff, and we'd be like, "Oh, hello," and be like, "So y'all are back?" We're like, "Yeah, we've been waiting for you." They were like, "Well, let's do this thing." There was so much tension. It was great, and then we'd battle. It would be like us and these 3 dudes, and we'd like be rolling and shit. We'd be like, "Pew pew pew pew."
You did the
It
Star
was-
Wars roll before the Star Wars roll existed?
Oh my god!
Oh
yes,
my
it
God.
was. I cannot stress the episode of Always Sunny when they're in the laser tag is the most accurate.
Yes, I've seen.
It's so
Really?
funny.
You lived
Yeah.
that? I've
Oh,
heard
we
people
were-
were that intense about paintball, but I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
know people were that intense
It's a
about
different form
laser
of-
tag.
Yeah, it's,
We didn't.
it's like
we
a
didn't
different
have
form.
paintball. Like there was no paintball stuff near us, and I'm positive that my friends would have talked my ass into paintball if we had access to it.
Paintball hurts.
And I would've been
man.
like, okay,
that's
sure.
the only thing. It hurts. I didn't like paintball the 2 times I did. It just fucking hurt. It wasn't fun. Laser tag, no one gets hurt unless you slam into a wall or a kid.
Laser tag's also BS. Like, it's all about hitting the right part of the
Yes.
right pad. And so once you like know that, it's all gimmick, and you're like, if I just target the angle, and it's like
my uncle owned and ran a laser tag place. So anytime I wanted to play laser tag, I would just go and play the old laser tag. He was way too good though. He knew exactly how to like exactly what Jesse was just saying. He could target a fucking shoulder from like across the arena. He knew all the best vantage points because he built the fucking arena, all that shit. So yeah. Laser
the worst
tag.
part is we all had like really cringy late
Names?
90s, early 2000s names
Yeah.
for all, like, you know, it was always like
Archangel.
X Defender of Death X, you know, like crazy.
Yeah.
Just like Archangel,
The best
Gabriel
How
X.
so when at the laser tag you went to, did the scores get posted on a screen afterwards? Is that how the
you would leave the like neon laser area,
Yeah.
and then you come back outside to the admittedly really awful looking like lounge,
Yeah.
and then there'd be a bunch of TV screens that would display the scores, and then you would sit there and you would wait for like whoever was in the room there, and then you would like get drinks and like play games or whatever, and then you'd go back in, and we would spend quite a few Saturday days there. We didn't go at night because we were like, night's when it's weird. That's when the losers go. So we were there during the day fighting kids.
They had like
like, don't go at night. That's for losers.
At yours, did they print out
Yes.
like a little thing and give you a title?
And that,
it was like Terminator.
And it showed where you shot and who shot who, and gave you a timeline. Yep, we got all that info.
Yeah.
They had like a league. My uncle had like a league at his place, and so Jesse at nights. That's when they would run the like tournaments. They have teams.
We never did tournaments. We would always show
16 up. People. And they would go in there.
Yeah, we'd show up and like battle it out with like families of 4.
Yeah, there's always birthday parties. That was their biggest. That's where they made their money.
The only league I've ever been in is a dart league, and it was with a bunch of really old men, a lot of them from Britain, and me. We just played darts.
Sounds like you, though.
Friday night.
Were you good? Did you lose every time?
My partner was good.
Was he also
English? I was okay.
Okay.
I was passable. I was getting a lot better, but he kept insisting that part of the reason I wasn't as good as I could be was because I would use the bar dart. And he was like, you need to buy your own fucking darts.
You gotta get your own material.
I'm poor. Yeah. He was like, buy your own darts. You're using the freebie darts at the bar. They're so bad. I swear, if you buy your own darts, you will be one of the best players here. And then we also played shuffleboard, and I was a demon at shuffleboard.
The old shuffleboard.
Like my beer, I would get us a free pitcher of beer almost every night. I was an absolute demon at shuffleboard. But the dart league, I was passable. Passable.
All right.
I love this side of you. I love this.
Yeah, I was a barfly for a little while.
Yeah, this old man version of you is hilarious.
That's what
Brian shuffleboard and then
plays old bar games.
Yeah,
Pinochle and Podcheesy. Like Brady.
Yeah, I was like a little bit of a shark, and I would like get lots of money from people because like when you see people that aren't a part of the league come in and they're like watching you play shitty on purpose. And then they're like, oh, can we get in on the next game? It's like, oh, well, we're renting the table for the next hour. We'll make it worth your while. All right. And then you completely wallop them and win like $100.
There you go. Bronze the hustler. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, I hustled the shit out of people. College kids in U District. Yeah, no.
Does not surprise me. Let's talk MCU, and then we'll talk some X-Men. This is the stupidest headline I think I've read maybe this year. Marvel star, I don't know how to say her name, American Chavez actress, let's go with that, partners with Sweet Tarts for TikTok Film Festival. I just thought we should read that out loud because
there's a TikTok film festival.
Sweet Tarts still exists. Like, this is the most Zoomer fucking headline I've ever heard. I guess there is a TikTok film festival. The winner gets $25,000 bronze for winning TikTok
for a minute-long film. I mean,
I don't even know if it has to be a minute.
I mean, it's TikTok, so like 30 seconds.
I guess it could
film,
be.
and I guess
yeah. Anyways, I saw that headline. That's not news. It's just fucking weird. Because there's a TikTok film festival. In case you guys weren't aware. What the hell's going
I
on?
hate that.
What the hell's going on? Jesse's over here thinking like, I could win that. I could be a
No,
TikTok
I'm thinking
star.
about the fact that the other day I saw some guy. Boy, I don't know who this is, so I can't give them any credit or shout out, but I saw some dude on TikTok say TikTok is the new hotness. No, I'm sorry. TikTok is the new Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter is now what Instagram was. Instagram is what Facebook was, and Facebook is dead.
Yeah.
Is what is,
And
that was his
Reddit's-
TikTok.
Yeah. He's not wrong. Like TikTok is the originator of memes now. It goes TikTok to Twitter to Reddit. Reddit is where memes go to die. Facebook is irrelevant. That's the chain,
I
unfortunately.
mean, Facebook isn't irrelevant if your memes are like awful.
No, Facebook is
I was gonna
irrelevant
say,
unless
it's
you're
a
30
very-
years or older.
It's a very like narrow mind view, because the thing about Facebook is that it's the most popular social network in other countries.
In the world,
So
yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
so like if you're a Brazilian creator or an Indian creator or anything like that, like, you know, YouTube and Facebook are king.
That's very
Like,
true.
my cousins in India have iPhones and they're on YouTube. They know my stuff from YouTube. They
Sure,
don't know it from anything else. So like that's always strange to me that like to me like YouTube is like number one.
Mm.
But I think it's also weird because people don't view it as a social media platform. They view it as a content platform, but it is a little bit of both, IMO.
Yeah, there's some social
don't know.
stuff going on in the comments.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, that's
I don't want to
definitely a thing.
spoil it for you, but the
Uh-oh.
dude who made the post was a white guy from LA. So I feel like his worldview is
Shocking.
very small.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
I don't mean to
and
spoil
to
this
be
as
fair-
well. I'm a white guy. Okay.
What?
That's also who does well on TikTok, right? Like
Yeah.
I watched this very fascinating documentary about
I'm not from LA
agents.
though. Not LA.
About like agents for TikTokers. And I was like, see, if I want to be a millionaire, this is what I would do. And they basically, yeah, like they don't do anything other than sign a bunch of like 16-year-old kids in really predatory contracts, move them out to LA, put them in one mansion so that they have
Yeah,
this like
TikTok mansion. Hell yeah.
idea. Yeah, they have this like they can go online and post and people think that they're wealthy, but they're just, you know, they're living in a house with 10 other people.
Yeah,
And the number one criteria that they chose was like the look. Like, well, what does this kid look like? Like, is he skinny? Does he have 6-pack abs? Can he do a back handspring? Can he walk on his hands? Can he do a handstand? Like that was all the criteria.
Yeah.
And then they just like get really formulaic content and they yell at them to post it every day. And then they take 30% of all of it. And they're
Yeah.
like super rich. And then they engage in really abusive behaviors and then cover it up by like buying them like Cartier and Gucci and stuff. And I was like, I could be a TikTok pimp.
Yeah. Sure.
The problem
work
with being a
out.
TikTok pimp is that TikTok in general, you don't make any
It's
money.
also true.
Like,
You don't make money. You have to get brand
most-
deals.
I cannot stress this enough. One
Oh.
of my very good friends works with like a group of like, you know, content creators that make skits and shit. And they were pushed to do a lot of TikTok stuff because the numbers were there. It was like, oh my God. And so on TikTok, they make crazy numbers. People love their content. They don't see they see like $3. They see
Oh, yeah.
it is it's not a monetized platform. You can make millions of views and it doesn't do a thing for you.
Yep.
So I can
Yeah.
understand why companies want to go to TikTok because the people that are there have no concept of like what work to money ratio they should have because they've never experienced that. So they can go there and get like someone with 80 million views, pay them real cheap.
Here's
and get them to
$1,000
get
a month.
Yeah. crazy.
Yeah.
It's the Wild
But
West.
Instagram
TikTok is the new Wild West.
Views are also
Of that.
inflated as fuck. Instagram's the opposite.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
you're right. My wife has done a
in
ton
other
of brand
countries.
deals. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Instagram pays in like brands come to Instagram when they have money to blow.
Yeah.
Like, you
Well,
know, and they're
Facebook.
like, all right, let's
It's
see if we can
Facebook.
afford this person. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
The advertising on Instagram is really, and one thing that shocks me is like in a lot of other countries, very very highfalutin brands will pay Instagram influencers, like the
Yeah.
very like Chanel, whereas like you don't see Chanel advertising with a Twitter creator or a Twitter influencer or a TikTok influencer, but they will advertise with an Instagram influencer, like
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it's
That makes
very.
sense.
I don't know. It's like a different perception, I guess. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's about
social media.
the photos versus like when you're on TikTok, you're just swipe, swipe. So retention is super low, and viewing averages are all over the place. You can see a person that has one video with 100 million views and another video with 3,000, and it's just
Mm.
It's all how it
it's
goes.
crazy. So, but on Instagram, if you're a model or whatever, you're gonna have roughly the same number of likes on every single post you make.
Mhm.
So it's an easier, simpler way. Plus, it's it seems, not to knock TikTok. I think TikTok is a fine thing.
I
Shout
love
out to the
TikTok.
TikTok that I have. Yeah,
Go China. Big
I don't do
reppin'.
anything there, but it exists. Yeah. Everything else seems a little more professional than TikTok.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Just
still very much in its infancy.
Yeah, I don't want to shame TikTok. That's not what I'm trying to do, but it's like the concept of what the content is on TikTok is a lot more like, I made this video of me doing a weird dance. All right, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's not really high level content.
It's strange because TikTok in the past like 3 months has hired a bunch of former Twitch staff as like creator.
They even hired a bunch of
managers.
games community managers as well.
Yeah, and it's like, why? Like,
they're trying to do a games thing.
What
What
are you
that looks like, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
Yeah,
but they're trying to do something with games, so
weird.
I'm here for it.
Anyways,
I don't know what it is, but like, all right.
Yeah, if you want to go hang out and win the TikTok movie film festival thing that America Chavez is running, by all means, go to her TikTok. That's where she's at.
Hold on. Is it America Chavez like the character or
it's the actress's
actor?
name? I can't say her name, so I didn't want to butcher it, so I went with America.
Oh, sure.
Gomez?
Yeah. How do you say it, Bronze?
I think it's Solchi. My
Sochi?
best friend in college, her sister I think had the same name as Solchi, is what she told me. But I'm so sorry to the wonderful, community if I've absolutely destroyed it.
Yeah, I didn't want to take a stab at it. So it's something Gomez. I don't know how to say her first name. I should probably
Speaking
learn
of
how.
Gomez, my freaking cat. Gomez!
Get him.
Stop!
Get him out of there. He's chewing on those cables. What else has been going on in the MCU? We'll get to the actual news. Everyone is just leaking. They got leaks on leaks on leaks.
That's what I was saying.
We got Oscar Isaac. He's leaking season 2 on TikTok. Funny enough, that's where that came from. We got Eternals 2 leaking thanks to Patton Oswalt. He said that Harry Styles and Chloe Zhao are returning. And then Rosario Dawson leaking that John Barenthal is coming back as the Punisher into the MCU. All the leaks. Rosario Dawson actually 2 hours ago. Or wait, no, this was this morning at 1:34 a.m. to be precise. Tweeted, she was on a panel is where she talked about it and said that Punisher is happening again. And then this morning at 1:30, she said, I can't be trusted. Getting intel from fans during signings is iffy, apparently. My bad. I get excited. Confirmation is key when you're told what you want to hear.
I was gonna say she's gonna get her ass in trouble with that shit. You can't just be out here.
I think they all are.
Yeah.
I mean,
all that.
Patton Oswalt was on the Today Show, and people were talking to him about Eternals and Marvel, and he goes, "Oh yeah, Eternals 2 is happening. We got Chloe Zhao at the helm, and Harry Styles is coming back." Everyone on the set was like, Patton's like sitting there just smiling, like he was doing promo for Sandman or something like that.
You can tell these people come from like much smaller productions because there's no way working with Disney like you would know not to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
Patton
I guess
Oswalt's been around, but I think he just
yeah.
slipped up.
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like that at all.
You don't like that it was leaked or that it happened or what aspect?
That it was leaked just because I don't know. I feel like then they always have to like chase that with something, and then what ends up happening is we get like a stupid trailer or unfinished trailer. Like speaking of news, they just threw like, did you see all that conversation about She-Hulk? Where they
Yeah,
completely threw the
yeah.
visual department under the bus?
Yeah,
Like, it's
Tatiana
like
Maslany was out there talking about the VFX stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
it was like it's like, well, maybe if things didn't get leaked like that by actor, because like Rosario Dawson doesn't have to go cut the trailer or handle the marketing or do the CGI, right? So it's very easy to say Punisher's happening, and it's like I'm sure what they would rather have done is like prepare some type of asset. Like we're all creators, we know how marketing works. We market our own shows. Like that's the last thing because you can never announce twice, right?
Yep.
You can only announce once.
Yep.
So you want to do it fucking well. And like as creators, and we're doing this on a micro scale, we plan this shit out months in advance, y'all. We try to get some kind of cool Twitter graphic. We talk about what we're gonna name it, how we're gonna do the thing. And so having somebody just unceremoniously be like,
Blah.
yeah, Bernthal's coming back as Punisher. It's
Yeah.
like, doesn't he deserve to go to Comic-Con and walk out on stage and have that hype that
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
that
It-
other people have had? Like, is that really appropriate, Rosario? I would say no. It's kind of fucked up. You kind of took his moment a little bit there. Maybe I'm overreacting.
Yeah. I mean,
but
I
it's
think
like,
it's a simple
you can't
mistake.
announce twice.
100%.
Yeah.
Everything. I agree with everything you're saying. But it's also like, I don't think they meant it maliciously. I think they just fucked up
Yeah.
because it's so. I'm not even in that machine, right? Like I have no idea what the Marvel machine looks like. It's got to be a fucking
Mhm.
mess to know like what's announced, what's not, when is it announced, has it been? Oh, this fan was talking about it as if it was announced, so maybe it is announced, and then you go
Mhm.
on a stage and yeah, it seems like an absolute mess. So it
Yeah.
sucks all around.
Yeah.
It sucks for all
I
involved.
think the reason, like, I can't relate is, like, I do this on a micro level, and I would
Right.
get in so much trouble. Like, if
Yeah.
I had said, "Guys, I'm DMing the next season of Dimension 20," I would have gotten in so much trouble,
Right.
you know? Like, and that's just college humor. That's still just, like, such a smaller thing than, like, Disney, right? Or the fact that I was a writer on Critical Role, I had to keep that under my hat, like, so I think there's probably some of this is, like, me bleeding, where I'm
Sure.
like, "I never would have done that because you usually have to sign contracts, Chad, this is me showing you behind the curtain a little bit, that's like, if you damage our brand,
Yeah, you
we
sign
could
the
sue you for
NDA.
X amount of money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like,
all
we
NDA
will sue
stuff.
you for X amount of money proportional to what the value of our product is. So the idea of, like, being like, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing this thing," it's like, "No!
Yeah, I would say
You signed a contract."
it's also like amplified these days, right? Because where did this even happen? It was at a convention somewhere, right? Oh, it was at C2E2 is where it was. She was on a
I thought it
convention
was
at
because
Oh.
she was
C2E2.
like talking with a person and it just like was in conversation. She's like, I
No,
heard about this thing.
it was just speaking at C2E2. Let's see if there's the full story. Yeah, she was on a panel somewhere. Or on it, because the photo is, there's a video of her on a panel. So someone had a phone out. That's the other situation too, is like these people are at so many different things and there's just cameras literally everywhere. So in the past, if you made a mess up like that, it didn't go anywhere. Now, if you make a mess up like that, 5 seconds later,
Yeah.
it's on the internet, it's viral. Okay, now Kevin Feige is killing you or killing you and calling you beforehand. You got the little ticker in your brain is being buzzed by Kevin. So it sucks, but maybe it's not true. I think he'll still get his Comic-Con walkout moment, Bronze. I think that's still, people will still pop off for Punisher. Where was the Oscar Isaac stuff was just straight up on TikTok. What did he say? Oh, that he also said so he clarified it. Says, first of all, I want to tell you that I'm kept in the dark as you. I know nothing about what's going to happen. I'm not just saying that I'm not pulling a Tobey Maguire on you. And that's from the filmmaker. Then he just continues to go on. So they all have their excuses, but
So yeah, they all said a thing and then backtracked. Can I
yeah.
really, really quickly?
I don't think
know if
Patton
this is.
Oswalt backtracked though. I think he said that on the Today Show, and it's like,
Well,
I'm Patton Oswalt. Fuck it.
have you seen the clip? This is
Random.
very much what now?
No, is this a random story? Where are we going with this?
No. It is from Miss Marvel,
Okay,
and they released a bunch of cut scenes from Miss Marvel, like a
sure.
bunch of fight scenes and things that were cut. But more importantly, this goes back to everything we said about Miss Marvel, and I have to bring this up.
Okay,
Basically, remember how the first 2 episodes had all that like art and stuff and all the different things that were
Yep.
so, and then it just vanished, and I couldn't understand why that was. So apparently, we have answers now.
Ooh.
I basically, from what the directors and the writers were saying, that those bits had to be known in advance so they could put them in to the show for writing purposes. And so basically the big complaint was that it forced, like, the actors couldn't improvise or like try anything new. If they wanted to include that stuff, they had to do exactly what it was going to be so that they could move the camera.
Jeez.
They could do the, and so it just became too much of a pain in the ass. So they just like
That just means that like the
they didn't
production
do it anymore.
Yeah, that to me that means the production schedule is just incredibly tight. If they have to like make sure the shots are the exact way, because that means the visual effects are already in process, right? They already
Right.
have the storyboards. They can't be changed. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
nightmare, man. They just need fucking
So
like more time. They just need more
I mean,
time.
yeah, that once again comes down to I like it once again comes down to executives somewhere saying you need to get this done in this amount of time, and then
Yeah.
shoehorning some poor graphics department somewhere
Yeah.
with coming up with a bunch of stuff as usual. It's a big Disney problem.
Yeah, for sure. It makes a lot of sense though, hearing
Yep.
that. So what else do we got going on?
I
Go ahead.
I mean, it makes sense, but also it comes back to the trending news of last week, which is you're Disney. It's not an indie studio, and
Yeah.
instead of crunching and squeezing the living life out of your graphics department, why not have projects with enough lead time on production that you can allow for them to do that in post
Right.
versus having them generate it alongside, like, they're basically putting down the tracks while the train is already on the road, and then they're sitting here being like, "Oh, well, that's why the quality wasn't consistent throughout," and it's like, "Okay, but you're Disney."
Yeah.
You can,
Well,
you
But I
can
guess,
make
and
that
I know that's,
happen.
like, probably really mean, but, like, there's so many people that talk about, "Oh, I really hope Disney buys, like, the DCU," because there was some news on that front, which I guess is not MCU news, but there is some news about Batgirl getting canned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so many people were like, "Well, I hope Disney buys it," and I was like, "What?
Yeah.
That's your solution?
A lot of
Is for
people
Disney to buy it? So what? So then we can have more movies rushed and shows rushed and more graphics department paid less? Like,
Yeah.
is that what we're doing now?"
I think people are quick to forget when they say statements like that, that Disney is not in the business of making entertaining films or trying to create an artistic vision. They're in the business of business, right? They want to make money. And so when it comes to these production, and I'm not making an excuse, I'm just saying from Disney's point of view, the reason this stuff is
Mhm.
so regimented and the way that it's produced is set on a timetable is because they need to have offerings on Disney Plus so people don't unsubscribe. Right. And
Yeah.
so when it comes to like,
Yeah.
oh, Disney should buy the DC, no, let them stay wherever. Sure, things are going to get canceled, but that's because Warner Brothers and HBO, they're a
Yeah.
business and they love money and they want to make money and they didn't see a return on
Yeah.
investment. Not saying that any of that doesn't suck. It's fucking awful. The fact they just canned that movie and they're not going to, nothing is going to happen from it. And it was done.
I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what the big budget Amazon show, like, Amazon is dumping tons of money into shows.
Oh, and the
And
Lord
so
of the
I'm
Rings
very
is
curious.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have been, for the most part, hit and miss. Right? There's some shows that they nail and some shows that I'm like, that wasn't, it looked nice, but it wasn't really there. And so I'm curious
Yeah.
what Lord of the Rings does, and if people see, these shows and are like, wow, that was fantastic, and they took their time and they spent money on it, what that does to other companies. So fingers crossed, Lord of the
Lord of
Rings
the
is
Rings
good.
is
Yeah.
so polarizing because what it has in common with Star Wars fandom is that nobody loves and hates Lord of the Rings as much as Lord of the Rings fandom does. I'm sorry, that is
Yes. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
opinion, and it
Oh,
is the
yeah.
same with Star Wars. No one loves Star Wars as much as Star Wars fans also hate Star Wars. Like, it is an equal measure,
Yeah.
And so the Lord of the Rings show can't just be good. It has to be perfect. My
Mhm.
most, and I do not think this is a hot take, my most controversial opinion to this day that I posted on the internet is that I thought that the first installation in the Hobbit trilogy wasn't that bad. And that I liked Martin Freeman as Bilbo, and I thought that the first one of those 3 movies was actually pretty good.
Sure.
This was a controversial opinion. Y'all are on some hater shit. Because
Sure,
listen,
yeah.
I live, breathe, am obsessed with Lord of the Rings. I like the first movie in that trilogy. The
Yeah.
other 2, okay, maybe not, but that first one, I definitely liked. People, you would have thought I was endorsing smoking crack on stream.
Oh yeah, no,
People were just like,
that's
"How could you say
you're
this? Like, we believed in you. We believed in your opinion.
those are
Like, these
crazy.
this trilogy is horrible." I
That's
was
a
like,
crazy talk on the internet. You got to be careful with that, Bruns. You have to say
"Did we
that to the
watch the
right people
same?"
at the right time.
Because, like, the first one was good,
It wasn't bad.
but
I'm right there with you.
in the trailer for Rings of Power dropped, and I said, "Yo, this is a good ass looking show," and everyone's like, once again, there were people that were like, "What the fuck are you? You
Oh
were the
yeah, I
chosen
get
one.
that.
We believed in you. You're
I
the
get
Lord
I
of the
mean,
Rings
like,
super
look.
fan." And I was like, "It looked
Dude.
good. Fuck me sideways. It looks good. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. People are
You
crazy,
can
Bruns.
say a lot of things about, like, well, my casting preferences, and this is what, like, whatever. That's some nerd shit, and that's fine. Nerds be nerding. We get it. But to
yeah.
say that the trailer is not good when it unequivocally was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was
It's one of
like
the best looking trailers I've
it
ever
was
seen.
stunning.
And you know what? One
You
of the
can hate
complaints
on it.
was
Just be honest with yourself.
one of the fucking complaints was that the women dwarves didn't have beards, and
Yeah.
therefore, how could I say they looked great? And I was like,
Yeah.
y'all
Oh
are
yeah, I
on
saw that.
drugs. Y'all are on that good crack.
Yeah.
You're on that, like, y'all need to hook a sister up because that's the complaint. The beards,
Bronze did
the beard.
if you want to hear a crazy take, I was informed on I think this was on Saturday morning. Did you hear one of the complaints about Sandman? It wasn't that Death is a black actress. It
Uh-huh.
was that Death was a black actress, and the reason that they made her a black actress is because people think that black people are more prone to be around death and tragedy. And I'm like, well, like, what the fuck? Like, that's the
Crack. We got to get crack
that's
out
what
of the street.
That's where I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what are we
That
doing here,
is
guys?
that is, you're right, Bronze. That is some, like, drugs. That is
That's crazy. That's
it's not even
crazy.
good drugs. It's definitely crack. It's not even like a good. It's like
That's crazy.
bottom tier drugs. Yeah.
That
No,
is
that's
one of
insane.
the most iconic comic book roles, media roles of all fucking time is Death from Sandman.
Yeah.
A more beloved character you probably would be hard pressed to find in comic books.
Yeah.
To take that and turn that character to be turning into, to be a black person or to be cast as a black actress, to turn that into a bad thing,
Yeah.
like, it's batshit. But did you see
Crazy.
the social media manager for The Boys popping off?
What did he do?
Because some people said that about The Boys. Some people said, The Boys marketing, because The Boys marketing has been a brilliant. They've got like a Vought International spoof account. They've
Yeah.
been doing Homelander gifts. And some people said, like, oh, it doesn't seem like a parody anymore. It's giving white supremacy. The racism is very much here. Da 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 da
Do
da.
they watch the show?
Yeah.
Have they seen the show?
Here's what's funny. A black woman posted and said, "It's crazy that y'all really think that all of these social media account managers are white because all of the success for this lies on a black woman's shoulders. Like, this is my marketing strategy. I'm also the marketing behind Paper Girls. Like, yeah,
Nice.
this is me. This is my brilliance. That's why these accounts are so huge. And there's not a white man that is pushing an agenda here. This is a black woman being brilliant." And I was like, pop off.
Yeah.
Like, because
That's great.
The Boys' relevancy on social media is like second to none. Their marketing is crazy to the
It's
point
very
that
good.
you think it's like viral tweets from fans, and then like the way they elevate them, like they've managed to create a grassroots word of mouth. Like they've become a meme machine, basically.
Yeah.
And that success is on a black woman's shoulders. But people on the internet were just assuming because there's Homelander gifts that it's like some white guy doing shit. And she was just like, that's hilarious. No, it's not.
That's awesome. I
Let's-
didn't see that. That's great.
Like if you saw the very last scene of this last season and said, I feel like they're promoting Homelander as being a good guy. You missed the whole point of that scene.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you missed the point of the show. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that whole thing was
It is
wild.
direct parody is what it is. And if you responded well to it, I'm going to let you know you're missing the point.
Yeah.
You have people on the other side too, people that are like, "Oh, it's just an irresponsible show because it promotes white supremacy." I'm like, "You're not paying attention. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not trying to invalidate your opinion because these are people I respect that have these takes, and I'm like, you are not paying attention. This is actually very brilliant marketing what they're doing. Like the way it's written is very
Yeah.
smart, and a majority of the team is like female and people of color. So like you're stepping on other minorities to have this take that because you've assumed it's like a bunch of white writers that are pushing an agenda, and that's not what that show is. But anyways,
Yeah. No, I agree.
thank you.
It's
for hearing me out.
ridiculous. Anyways, back in the world of MCU, Thor Love and Thunder rather passed Thor Ragnarok. I think it's just over 700 million.
I was going to ask a question about this because I saw this news earlier, and I'm curious what the two of you think because
Is that in the, that's only in the domestic. Sorry. Worldwide,
Sure.
Ragnarok's made more.
But I'm really curious about this because this to me seems like reactionary earnings. So Ragnarok was great. I think everyone enjoyed Ragnarok. Super fun.
Yeah.
Everyone went into this movie, I think, expecting the same thing. So imagine I make a game called Jesse and Bronze Get Married, and it's a great game and everyone loves it. Then I make a sequel to that game called Jesse and Bronze Get Married 2.
Divorce?
Yeah, the divorcing,
Okay.
but it sucks, right? Because, divorce isn't good. So the divorcing, it sucks. No one likes it. But it outsells the first game because everyone came in with expectations.
Yeah.
Do the two of you think if they make one more Taika Waititi Thor movie, that will perform as well as this current film? I would suspect.
I think it would be lower. Yeah. I think this film muddied the waters a little bit.
That's what sucks.
Yeah.
About that, right? Like because
Totally. It's hard doing it. The third movie is always the
Suicide
hardest.
Squad.
Right.
I always look at Suicide Squad. I think Suicide Squad would have done so much better if they didn't have that first one.
Yep.
Because it's so hard to come back from that, you know? I think
And it still
like
did pretty well, but it didn't do as well
Thor
as it could have.
coming back. Like I think Ragnarok would have been even bigger if the first two Thor movies weren't such duds. But that really speaks to Taika's like power.
Yeah.
And his reputation that he was able to have such a big launch. But like prior to that would have imagine how big Ragnarok could have been if it did not have two predecessors that were not loved. But yeah, I also agree. I think it's going to affect this next one.
Yeah, I think because those first two movies, the Thor, like Ragnarok came as a shock to people, and so people responded really well to it, and so it grew, and that's why you have things like the overseas audiences. The numbers are there's that lag where the current movie Love and Thunder hasn't caught up with the worldwide audience, and so I'm curious what down the line it all means because it wasn't a bad movie. It just was like a series, as we mentioned numerous times, like a series of content stitched together.
Take from that writer. I think
it's
Jesse,
not bad. It's just not like a great movie.
The unique aspect of Marvel's like MCU and the way that films are released in the Marvel world. It's not so much like the previous Thor, it's the previous movie. Right? So like it's Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange was big because of Far From Home. or whatever the most recent Spider-Man was, right? Like it's always the movie prior to that kind of gets
Sure.
people into the theaters, or a portion of it. I think definitely like Ragnarok did well, so people are excited for the new Thor. But it's also the Marvel movie prior to that, rather than the Thor movie prior to that, which is a little bit unique.
Mhm.
And maybe a positive in Marvel's grand plan, because it can be a completely unrelated project that could have done super, super well. And the next project maybe isn't going to be that great in terms of just like fan appeal and um, who it's going to reach. But it had that last Marvel product that was huge. And so those people are hyped now about Marvel, and they're going to try to get into the next thing.
Well, what was before Eternals?
Disney Plus something or other. Like, wasn't Eternals the first big film back into?
And that was after. I mean, you would figure.
Was
that
it
would be
Shang-Chi
well,
first?
Was it? Did it go Shang-Chi
boy.
Eternals?
Oh
or
boy.
now I gotta think.
I think it did. I thought Shang-Chi was the first big one back,
You might be right.
which is why I was so
Got me
excited for
looking
this
up
phase. I was like,
release
yeah,
orders.
what a way to kick off the phase.
Shang-Chi came out September 3rd, 2021. Eternals
the first
came
one was
out
actually
November 5th, 2021. So
yeah,
Shang-Chi
it was
was first.
so it was Spider-Man Far From Home.
No, this is before all that. It went
Oh.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange after that.
You know, I gotta be honest, I didn't count Black Widow because I watched it on
Disney
watched
Plus.
it on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had forgotten that
admittedly,
actually is first.
Yeah.
Black Widow, it isn't like the best of the films they've made.
No, I think that's why they were comfortable putting it out on Disney Plus. Also COVID, but yeah.
Can we talk about, so I'm on IMDb, and I realize IMDb is not the source for this information at all. But going through the list of movies and things that were made, it has stars next to them, like what the average star is, Metacritic score, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is that as you go down through from Iron Man 1 all the way down, you see things like, Phase 1, Iron Man has 7.9. Iron Man 2 was a 6.9. Thor was a 7. Captain America was a 6.9. And then Avengers sits an 8. And then from that point on, there's a lot of like 8s and high 7s and things that happen. But if you scroll all the way down to Phase 4, Black Widow 6.7, Eternal 6.3, Shang-Chi was 7.4, which is good. Doctor Strange was 7, 6.7. So basically we were in the 8s, and now we've dropped back down to the 7s, and I think that is a good summation of like where we're at.
Somewhat.
It feels like a Phase 1. We're kind of wandering and meandering. We don't know what we're doing, and everything's all over the place.
The other thing you got to remember, though, is people realize that people care about those numbers these days, and so they just go on a downvoting spree. Like there are
but this is IMDb, so like,
no, it exists there 100%, Jesse.
I mean, absolutely, but it's also one of those things where it's you can even see it across the Metascores and things like that, where there's a lot of green in the MCU, and then it slowly starts to become yellow
for sure.
We get into this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of factors there, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
There's the factors the movies exist. There's comic book movie fatigue. There's everything's rushed these days, right? Like there's a ton of factors.
But with all that said, Shang-Chi still it appears to be the number one of this phase so far. We'll see what happens with Black Panther, but everyone seems to agree that's pretty much the best one they made.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought I had comic book movie fatigue, but I loved The Boys and I loved Batman. So, but I'm also like a Batman stan, so I don't know if my opinion on that movie.
It's not comic book movie fatigue. Yeah,
it was just different.
That's what it's different. Yeah,
I
you want unique ideas. Yeah,
it's not comic book movie fatigue. It's fatigue of the Disney storytelling of comic books, where every movie is like an intimate, tiny story in the beginning, and by the end, you're fighting like a world-ending god. Every movie is the exact same. It's like, if only we could come together as a small band of best friends and save the day. By the way, saving the day means fighting Gorgamoth, god of destruction, and you're like, all right, here we fucking go again. It's the same thing.
You know what is You know what's crazy about that is that when you look at the source material, they actually fall into, like, a number of different archetypes, you know? You have, like, your heist comics, your horror comics, your detective comics, that type of stuff,
Yeah.
but that is not reflected in the movies, and, like, for this week's Bagged and Boarded, one of the things I was gonna talk about is how I like movies that a lot of people think are not great because at least they strove
They're
to do
unique.
something
Yeah.
different, like, Logan is not similar to your typical, your typical act structure when you look at the formula, and the same could be said even of Constantine, because I actually really like
Oh,
Keanu Reeves' Constantine.
so do I. That movie's fucking awesome.
I like
Yeah, I
It's great.
the
loved it.
oh my god, what is his I keep forgetting his name. Peter Stormare. I love him as Satan in that. He is a
Yeah. Oh, he's
fantastic
incredible.
actor.
Everyone
Yeah.
in that movie is
So good.
incredibly cast. That film's
Rachel Weisz,
insane. Yeah.
right?
Rachel Weisz is
She's
Yeah,
great.
great.
Tilda Sweden in that is fantastic. Like everyone's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I love that film.
Mhm.
It's really, really good. It's also really creepy, but I think Keanu said that he would love to do another one of those. So I
He did.
hope that gets
They should.
something. Yeah.
And the thing is, I came into that, like, not thinking because I was a lot younger and a lot more hardcore. I came into that thinking I wasn't gonna like it because he wasn't blonde. That's why the beard things makes me laugh now when people are like, "Female dwarves are supposed to have beards." Ah! That's why it makes me laugh because I was like, "Oh, I used to be like you when I was, like, 12 and be like, Constantine is supposed to be blonde and Keanu has black hair, and that's stupid." And then you watch it and you're like, "I'm an idiot because this is great."
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's that weird expectation you have as a fan about what things
Yeah.
should and shouldn't be like. And I know a great example for me is in my head, having read the Song of Ice and Fire books and then seeing Game of Thrones. There was a lot of characters when they showed up on screen. I was like, all right, that's not how I
Yes.
ever envisioned that person. But I didn't. But I
Yes.
then wasn't like I refuse to like them now. It was like, oh, that you know what? I don't give a shit that they didn't totally damage Peter Dinklage's face. I'm fine with
I was
that.
gonna say, I
I'm
hear
okay.
you completely because from the outset, when Peter Dinklage was introduced, and you know what you know about him in the book, I was like, he's supposed to be a hideous monster, and this looks like the
Yeah.
super model of small people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the way he's described in the book isn't just as a little person; it's described as like a hideous little person with like modeled features, and like he's completely
And then he gets even
repulsive.
worse as the story
And
goes
then he
on.
gets worse because half of his fucking face gets cut off. And
Yeah.
in the show, when they showed him, I was like, he's
He
a
looks fine.
supermodel of
Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
fine.
It's fine.
I don't like he doesn't have modeled features and twisted features at all. So I was like, okay, yeah, had to write some of that off.
But
Yeah.
but the dude, like, it doesn't matter because he so perfectly encapsulated what that character was
Yes,
that it does, like,
100%.
the small things don't matter and they shouldn't matter because it's a telling of
Mhm.
a story that is the way like someone wants to tell you that story. If
Right.
imagine sitting around a campfire 1,000 years ago and someone retells you a story, it's not going to be the exact same story the way you heard it before. And that's just the fact. And you got to just accept, like, this is a retelling of a story. It's fine. And people just can't let it go sometimes.
It's true.
Yeah, I
How it
definitely
be.
always thought that that Aragorn was gonna be hideous too. I mean, at one point,
He was never
they
hideous.
even
Don't you
say
dare. Don't you
those
dare.
who
Not
those
my,
who
not my
feel
Aragorn.
those who feel fair look foul. When someone is described as that, or no, what does it say? Oh yeah. Sometimes those who look fair are foul, and those who feel fair are foul. I remember reading that as a kid and being like, "Yo, that's a savage burn." I know he's trying to be nice, like maybe Strider's a good guy, but he basically just said, "Yo, you ugly as hell."
True.
So I think there was some part of me from how the halflings are so terrified of him that was like, yo, this dude must look fucking crazy. Like some
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, oh my God, this is a perfect
wild.
example. In Lord of the Rings, when I don't know if any of you remember this, But when the movies were coming out and they were announcing they're making this Lord of the Rings thing,
The
the
originals?
minute people found out the original, the 2000s when people found out, by the way, 2000s, holy shit.
Yeah.
When
20
people
years
found
ago.
out, I know, dude. When people found out that Tom Bombadil wasn't going to be in the movie,
Oh, people freaked.
I remember the internet forums at the time. People were so upset.
Everyone
and it
was
is-
upset on Ain't It Cool News, man. They were riled up.
Oh my, ain't it cool news? Yeah, E-Bombs World and that shit. Yeah, everyone was losing their mind. And I'm going to let you know, it took away nothing from the movie. It adds nothing. It was like a very smart move to do. And I'm sorry your
wish he
boy
was in
Tom
there,
wasn't there. Tom's a great character, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And I think that's the important thing is they knew the truth. Like, Tom Bombadil's fun, but it's not important to the story. And if you've never read Lord of the Rings, the inclusion of Tom Bombadil is like a what the fuck am I what? And so they're totally fine. Totally fine.
Jesse, this prompted my dumb internet addled
Are you
brain.
going back in time? Are you going back to
No. It prompted my dumb brain about this meme right here. And I hope you've seen it.
Are you going to You're the Man Now, dog?
No.
Where are you going?
No. Can you read that? Is that too small? Here, I'll make it bigger. Tell me when you're good to go.
God damn it.
It's
Yeah,
so
he does
good.
little to answer story. Tom Bomb, Jolly Tom Bombadillo.
It's the best, man. I love that.
I love that because there's no argument truly for having Tom in the film.
Yeah, none.
He's just
I mean,
screaming.
yeah, I was also a Bombadil evangelist, but I must admit, like, there is no actual coherent argument other than Jolly Tom
Yeah.
Bombadil.
That's why it's so fun. 'Cause
Truly advocate
I can
for him
imagine
being
those
in that
two.
movie.
That's one of my favorite memes, I think, on the internet. Is anything that fits that structure. It's always fucking hilarious.
Oh man.
Anyways, what else is going on? One more thing here, then we can do some X-Men talk. Giancarlo Esposito, who we discussed, I think, last week.
This is spicy. This is spicy.
Yeah, about potentially playing Doom. He was asked, I think, further in an interview this past week, and said, quote, I've been in a room with them and talked with them. And to answer your question, I think what they do is on the lines of the mythological journey that Joe Campbell talked about. Who happened to be a friend of George Lucas that George Lucas put into his stories. They do the same thing. And he goes on to say, there's been talk of Magneto. There's been talk of Dr. Freeze. There's been talk of, who else are they talking about over there? Oh, Doom. And then there's Professor X. Pick one. I'm going to have to go for something that is a little bit different. I'm going to go and put it out in the universe that it is Professor X. Esposito.
I'm telling the man wants to play Professor X. I was like,
it could work.
I mean, here's the thing. I know he threw it out there, but I actually, more than Doom, more than X or Magneto, I kind of think he'd be a fucking awesome Freeze.
Yes, I think he would.
He has like he can do cold ass personality. I think he'd be amazing at that.
Yeah.
That'd be super interesting. Throw him in with the Batman. Like a little Pattinson. Oh my God. Like that would be incredible. But
here's the thing.
Now, I want to see a good Freeze so bad.
I think
that's
he'd
one
be
of
incredible.
My favorite villains. And
He's
he would
such a cool villain. Yeah.
Because Freeze is actually like a really sympathetic character. And so
yes,
I think he could sell that.
Yeah.
I could also totally see him being like, fuck you and your whole family. I'm going to save my wife, you know?
There is like Giancarlo when he does, like, I love Giancarlo Esposito, but I do feel that I've seen him play the same role so many times that it's like, yeah, I could totally see him as Dr. Freeze, but he would just be playing Gus as a blue frozen dude in a like a glass thing.
But even then,
But it'd be very good.
If you look at the other characters, the only one that gives him the chance to do something different would be Professor X, which is probably why he wants to do it.
Yes, I
but
agree.
like
Yeah.
the other three he mentioned are literally just more Gus's.
Yeah.
Like masked Gus and partial masked magnetic Gus.
You're right.
And then ice Gus. You know, it's all the same thing.
I
really.
think he'd be cool as Professor X. I think that'd be interesting.
I think he'd be super cool. I think the internet would like
Yes.
every racist asshole on the internet would lose their goddamn
Yeah,
mind.
people would be
Yes,
mad.
which is also
I
why I think it'd
think
be great.
that what Esposito nails as Professor X is I think he would nail the comic book X, which is like a little bit more self-serving and a little bit more shitty, which kind
Sure.
of
Kind of an
comes
asshole.
into some of our
Yeah.
discussion of the animated show too.
Yeah.
Is that he is not the congenial sweet like Patrick Stewart brought a completely different one to life, and I like that version. I will never talk shit about it. He made me love Professor X. Whereas as a comic book fan, I was always like meh on the fucking guy because he's very shitty. Like when you think about the concept of him, he's meant to be. He takes children and puts them in a school and kind of brainwashes them for his own agenda. Is he that different than Magneto? Really, no. Like, if you really stop and think about it, like, he takes very impressionable young people,
Yeah.
brainwashes them into, like, being like, "Well, this is who we are, and this is our" it's kinda cult-like, and what I love is that the comics embrace that a little bit more, but with Patrick Stewart, I was like, "No, he's an angel, and he just wants to help people, and he must be protected at all costs."
Yeah. But I mean, that's what made moments like, the Phoenix saga and all the different it made it more resonant in the comics because it was like, yo, Professor X, you knew this girl was a mess. And like this is you brought this on yourself, bro. And it's that kind of thing. I totally agree. I would love to see a Professor X where you're kind of like, is this dude? Does he have these kids' best interests at heart? Or is he just like Magneto? That'd be like a great thing to play. Like, I would love it if a movie made me question whether Magneto was the bad guy or not. Like Magneto's like, we are brutally murdered all the time.
Yeah.
People again,
Yes.
They kind of did that
I mean,
already, but
And I
right, but I
think
mean, like,
Fassbender is the one to do it, and I think Fassbender opposite Esposito would be so good, as a very charismatic,
is
like,
Esposito too old though? To like, don't they have to be the same age ish? What is Foss? Let me see what Fassbender looks
I
like
was
these
just
days.
willing to wave it away with mutant timey-wimey because technically in the comics, like, how fucking old is Magneto? He's fucking old,
He's
y'all,
old,
but he
yeah.
still looks young as
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, so, like, I was just gonna hand wave it away with, like, his mutant genes have kept him young. Because I think stripping him of his Holocaust backstory would be, like, a horrible disservice for Jewish people. I obviously don't wanna speak over them, but I think, like, if you take that away, that's gonna be so I don't know, I think that's gonna, like
well, I mean,
I don't know, for
I
me,
agree.
that would
I
remove
think,
so much what makes that character great.
yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that point. I'm curious if the smart money is just not address backstories anymore because age does come into play, and just don't address the backstory because at the end of the day, all you really need for these two characters, of Professor X and Magneto, is the same, like, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X vibe of like, we are two men at cross purposes and one of us believes one way and one of us believes another way, but we're trying to like move into the future kind of vibes. And one is like, F it, if I gotta fight, I'm gonna fight. And one is like, peace at all, costs, that kind of thing. And I think that's what makes those two characters so important, is because they're roughly saying the same thing, except they're like, look, one of them is tired of the bullshit. And I think that's what's so good about them. And they just got to nail that and everything else will be fine. It doesn't matter really at the end of the day what year it is, as long as that's the vibe of what the characters have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I loved for me, the moment became distilled down, or the character became distilled down to like, and I guess like light multiverse of madness spoilers, but at this point that movie is like months old. But I just want to preface that
you can
before
put up some
somebody.
spoiler tags here. Just in
Okay,
case.
thank you. That scene of how Professor X, Patrick Stewart's version of Professor X, helps Wanda when she's like on this murderous rampage, versus a scene from House of M, where you see he's kind of trapped Wanda in like a mental prison is the easiest way to put it. And she's sitting there talking to her children, and he literally shows up and he's like, he makes them disappear and he's like, your children never existed, Wanda. Your children are dead, Wanda. Your delusions have gone too far, Wanda. You are a danger to yourself and others, Wanda. And she's like, no! And I'm like, I think Esposito would kill that version.
He would be a meaner, more like what?
Professor X. I could
Like
not
real?
fathom
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart's version doing that. I could not. I like the way that scene played out of it's like she's murdering everybody. Come on, Xavier, do something. And he's like, I'm going to help you. I was like, yeah, that's his version of that. And I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
But I think Esposito would give us the enough of your silly games, Wanda. You know, he would be the opposite of it. I also think he wouldn't have been very easily killed by her because I think he would have gone in there and been like, I'll fry her brain before she fries mine because he's just more savage.
Yeah.
And I think
He would be a more
having
savage
someone
Professor
else
X.
come in and try to do the Patrick Stewart version, it's not going to work. It's like having someone else come in and try to do Heath Ledger's Joker. Just do a different version of it because you're not going to nail that one.
Correct. Yeah.
That's, I think, the one disservice to X-Men First Class and everything. By the way, I love that movie, but the one disservice is that everyone in that movie had to pretend to be someone else because they were the younger versions of characters that already existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that hamstrings an actor, and I think that's I think they did a great job. I just think that part of the fun of making movies is doing things fresh. And this could, they're restarting it. I would imagine Secret Wars, whenever we get there in 2035 or whatever the hell that is, I would imagine that is the perfect moment to be like, F it. We can do whatever we want now.
Yeah.
I would think, because by the end of that, Doom is like, I am the Lord of the world. It's me, Dr. Doom, your leader. So by that point, F it. Let's get crazy.
Yeah. That's when Frank comes out as Dr. Doom. You got Danny DeVito just rolling around as Frank.
Danny DeVito as Dr. Doom would be.
I just want Danny
DeVito's mask. Get it off me.
The Danny DeVito and the Penguin was so good. It was such a match made in heaven. I just want to see him again.
Also a true villain.
Oh, yeah.
He was going to put babies in a sewer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What think about that's the most villainous thing anybody has ever done in a comic book movie. That's worse than Thanos. He was going to steal all the babies and put them in the sewer.
Yeah.
That's what they did to him. They put him in the sewer with the penguins that love him.
Do you remember the end of that movie, Bronze? Where the fucking penguins waddle out and then they collect them and then they drag them into the fucking water and then they carry him down the river.
Yeah, they love that man. Those penguins love that man. Those penguins
would die for that man. Yeah, it was great. It's 10 out of 10.
That's what I think of when I think of villain, where I'm like, there's no argument to be made.
Dude,
he had a hard life. No, taking babies and putting them in a sewer.
Well, this is a great transition, at least for me, and what I want to say about the animated X-Men show. Because
I've got a piece of news.
Oh, okay, yeah. What is it before we move on?
It's a very small,
let's hear it.
Small Venn diagram, maybe.
Let's hear it.
But it's a bit of queer news that ties into the MCU that increased my excitement for Ironheart.
Okay.
For official Drag Race aficionados.
Oh, I did see this.
Shea Coulee, who I'm a big fan of, is going to be in Ironheart officially, which is very exciting.
Do we know who they're playing?
And we're not sure yet, but there were a few characters sort of created or modeled on some different drag queens, and Shea was one of those characters. I don't know if that's the character she's going to be playing in the show. She has liked, because I follow Shea. She has liked tweets saying I really hope you play your comic book character in the show. So I'm curious if that's who she is going to be playing in it.
Okay.
But yeah, I was excited to see that news because,
Yeah, I had forgotten that
Yeah.
there's so much casting. Like they also casted some people for that terrible Sony
Character
film, but yeah.
modeled on her is Shade. But
Okay.
that character is, I believe, you'll have to excuse me if I'm wrong, a mutant. But so I don't know if she's playing Shade, but she does have a in canon character. But honestly, if she's just in it as a cameo, that's pretty cool because Shea Coulee is an icon.
Yeah, that's great. I made the mistake of finding her Twitter post, which is not the mistake. The mistake was reading the comments on said Twitter post. Holy shit.
Oh, are people not excited?
Well, I mean, it's these are probably bot
Are they like
accounts.
wokeism, is that type of stupid shit?
Yeah, these are probably bot accounts that are created to try and get interaction on the platform. But oh yeah, this is her character. Is let me you can verify here. I think Buns.
Shade looks sassy as hell. Holy
yeah,
shit!
if we're looking at the same image here,
Yeah, there is a DC Shade,
is that
which is not. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
That's very much an X-Men.
Oh yeah,
That's like
yeah.
the X-Men uniform. So like, you know,
Who is that? Domino? Who's this? Or is that America Chavez?
That looks like Dazzler. Am I
it's
wrong?
Dazzler.
I could be
out.
wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I've never read this comic, but
I saw the star on her back and
Bronze?
thought it was America Chavez.
Question for you, since you clearly know more about this character than me
oh gosh.
at all.
Oh, it is Dazzler. Okay.
That fan, is Shade stepping out of the fan, or is that a comic error? Because I want to live in a world where someone has a fan and then steps into their own fan. It's like,
Is that
bye,
her,
bitches.
is that her ability?
Yeah, her fan is her like it's like has a property to it. I feel like
Hell
she conjures it out of
yes.
shadow, I think.
That would be why her name's Shade, because she can
Which
kind
is
of
why
hide
her
in the
That-
shade.
yeah.
Love
Which is
the
also
idea
a
of
shout
a
out
fan
to,
that
you
you
know,
can like
queer
Yeah.
culture.
disappear.
Yeah,
It's like an infinite bag of holding, but it's just you.
That's
Like
awesome.
a little pocket dimension. Whoop. Huge fan of that.
yeah, they did a bunch of I'm trying to remember who else got a character, but I can't think of them right. Because I don't think Shea Coulee was the only one. I think they modeled a few different mutants off of drag queens, but
I can turn this spoilers off.
either way, for her to be in it is actually pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's great. I
And also she's a drag queen in the comic too, which is cool too.
Sick.
So she's like the first like or I guess X-Men to be a drag queen.
Sure.
But that like that is the vibe of X-Men though. That like fits with the whole X-Men, you know. I like that. I think that's the perfect place.
I agree. This was also finally fully detailed. We got a full shot of
Oh boy.
old Daredevil and old She-Hulk.
Oh boy, the hype is real.
Yeah. Did you see
Which,
the
by the way,
internet
we
theories
also-
on this? Go ahead, Jesse.
I was gonna say we also found out episode length as well.
We did. Okay. What were they, or what are they?
So
what are
we
they going to
know
be?
the first 4 episodes, they're all roughly 30 minutes. So this is
Okay.
going to be a 30-minute show the entire way through.
Okay, that makes sense. It'll probably be.
I mean, that's what we thought. Yeah.
But this is the Daredevil outfit for She-Hulk. They gave us proper images. I think Entertainment Weekly got this scoop. A lot of people are saying the reason that he's wearing this, if they are continuing the Netflix story, is that Bullseye destroyed any like credibility he had with the other suit, so he had to get a new looking suit so that people didn't think he was like the Daredevil that Bullseye fucked with in season
You think
3.
they're going to go that far? You think they
I don't know. This is a
Disney
fan theory.
cares?
This is a fan theory.
I mean,
don't
that's
know if
a
Disney
theory,
cares.
but it's like a lot of we're trying to explain the old and the new together.
But
when
why else
Disney,
would he
I don't
have
think
this
is going to
suit?
even try.
Like, why else would he go the golden suit route? Just
I mean,
because?
Disney changes suits every time a hero's on screen. So I imagine
colors,
this is just a
though.
new suit.
They never mess with the color scheme.
I think that's lighting. I don't think that's he's gold. I think that's just a light is shining down on his red stuff.
No.
I think that's gold. I think it's silver.
It's like yellow gold.
No.
Yes, that's what Daredevil's suit is. What are we talking about? That's the whole thing. That's why
No, it's gold. That's gold.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
That lighting doesn't look gold to me.
Yeah, it doesn't look gold.
Everyone's got different monitors.
It looks like silver
It's not silver.
with like a yellow street light on his head. So it's imparting like a
Am I being trolled right? I feel like I'm on like a hidden camera
No.
show. where the two
Chad
people are
just said I was
trolling.
channeling Gail Simone, and I just want to let you know. No, I'm not. I'm not even that much of a troll. I don't have that troll power. I can't do that. I, honest to God, don't. I thought it was the lighting. If it is gold, I default to your expertise. But
Yes.
I swear to you, it just looked like it was red with like bad lighting on it.
This is the original
It's
Daredevil
fun.
costume.
Love it.
Okay.
I love it. It's a good look.
Like where a lot of that is coming from.
I think he should just wear that.
Yeah, you think you can rock this?
Also, I think we should
Yeah.
bring back villains in green suits. The world doesn't have enough green suits.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
It's true.
get out of here. See? Meh.
Yeah.
Come on, boys.
See,
Let's
I
stop
always
the
think-
Daredevil.
I always think I want that shit, but I don't even say it anymore because after seeing D'Onofrio in the Hawaiian shirt, I'm like, no, I take it back. I don't want the old design. Like
mean,
I
it could've been
used to be one of those people that was like, I want that, and then I see it and I'm like, no, get him the fuck out of that ugly shirt. I'm gonna
Put him back in that white
out.
suit. Get him in a room with a white
Well, it
painting
wasn't
and have
in
him just stare
keeping
at it.
with his character, right? Because he's like enjoys the finer things, you know. So I was
Right.
like, what the fuck is this?
There you go.
Oh, that's
Is
gold.
that
Okay,
is that a
yeah,
real
yeah, yeah.
shot?
This is a real shot, yeah.
And that, I
That's
mean,
cool.
like, you're correct.
He's just out here
The other one, it
manspreading
looks
for the
silver
world,
to
you know?
me.
Also, apparently they said out of the how many episodes are there?
9. For She-Hulk?
Out of
9, yeah.
out of all the episodes, the what's her face? The
Tatiana,
Tatiana, is that her name? Whatever her name is. The
Tatiana
big,
Maslany
like,
is She-Hulk. You're thinking of
No,
Titania.
the,
Titania, there you go.
Titania.
Yeah.
She's only in 2 episodes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder who the
So-
big bad is then.
Great question.
Hmm.
No clue. Would love
What
to
if
know.
there is no big bad and it's just a courtroom drama? That's it. Like
That
if-
would be a great show.
I'd be
be super
kind
fun.
of into if it's just like a quirky like courtroom drama with like a female. I'd kind of be into that. Like
That'd be a great
if
show.
there's no
I'd
big
watch
bad,
it.
I'd love that. I think that's a great way to do that and a great way to introduce that character.
That was my
I would
favorite
assume
thing about season 1 of Daredevil is like, yeah, Kingpin is in the background and is coming into his own, but like they're dealing with much more like micro things like zoning laws and people being removed from their homes and stuff like that, you know? And I was like, oh,
The
this is
evil
very much
zoning
a-
laws. Yeah.
like people are talking, and of course I have a vested interest because you know Deborah is a good friend of mine, but
Sure.
people are saying like, is Foggy going to be back? You know, is Karen Page going to be back? And I'm like, well, in the Daredevil show, they served a very important purpose, right?
Yeah.
Which was how like that street level crime thing, like real everyday crime that happens in our world. But is Disney even planning on bringing that back? I don't know. So I guess with this show, we'll
Yeah.
kind of know.
Here's
We'll
the
find out.
the thing that I'm like, I actually get chills just thinking about it, which is really nerdy. But if I see Daredevil flying around or running around with like Spider-Man swinging above him or some shit in that show, I will freak the fuck out. Like that is a hype ass moment if that's the route that they're going.
Yeah.
if they can create a new street level thing that we can care about instead of it, like if they have a Kingpin who's like Thanos level threat, but just for New York, you know what I mean? Like if they
Yeah.
can do something,
Yeah.
I think that'd be super fun. Yeah, I'm convinced that She-Hulk the show is going to be
The start
the
of that.
vehicle for which we get Abomination into Thunderbolts. So she's going to take the case.
Could
She's
be.
going to win. Abomination will be set free, and Abomination will be like, well, now I'm free. And then Elaine's going to show up and
Yeah,
be like,
Elaine's gonna
I
show
got
up.
a job for you. And then he'll be in Thunderbolts.
I'd be okay with that. If that's how they get him there, that's cool. I'm super
Yeah, I
about
feel
that.
like that's what
Listen, if
has to happen,
She-Hulk
right?
is just Lincoln Lawyer with like superheroes, I'm here
Let's
for it.
go. Yeah.
Sounds
I'm on
great.
board.
Yeah, sounds super fun.
I'm about
I
it.
would love that shit.
I think that'd be dope.
Mhm.
I'd love that.
Wong's in the show as
Because
well.
it falls
so-
into exactly what I was saying, which is like different genres within superhero dumb, right? Like, so a courtroom drama would be so different than anything they've made before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so Bronze. Bless your sweet soul. The idea that she has a compatriot in Daredevil who is a lawyer in a courtroom drama show, and he's also a superhero makes perfect sense. And now, for some reason, I'm just picking up on that right now, and I don't know why I didn't think about that before. Yeah, this would be a great courtroom show where it's like, how do
Why
you
else would
do?
he be there, Jesse?
No, I mean, like, I get it, but I never. When you think about it as just a courtroom show, you always have to have
Mhm.
the one guy who's like, I know it's gonna be a big trial, but if you ever need help, I'm always here. And he's like also a superhero. I think that's super fun. I
That's
don't
what
know.
that show
Mhm.
is, I think.
Yeah, I didn't look. I just didn't
Also,
click.
I think isn't Frogman one of her clients? I think that's
Yeah, I mean they
Frogman.
show
Yeah.
a trailer of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
or like a
it's
little snippet of him.
I'm sure he'll be there for like
Frogman.
one day. And I think at some point, this is my theory, is that they're going to be on opposite sides. And it's
Oh, they're
not
gonna
going to be the
be.
main abomination case, but it's going to be one of the cases. Because if they go off of the comic where that happened, like it was like one of my favorite comics ever. I love this, by the way. This is so good.
That's great.
I could totally see like that's how they meet each other. Like Matt Murdock and
In the courtroom.
is presenting the case. Yeah, like maybe he's the defendant or the opposite. And then they're usually how the case structure in the comics goes, which is how I think it's going to work in the show, is that they're in court in the day, but then at night they either have to like find some evidence or protect a witness and usually they're in opposition of each other. They got to find that thing that's going to secure their case. I'm pretty sure that's how they're going to see each other in costume and realize they're both soups.
Right.
And then, yeah. After that, I'm sure they'll consult for each other like on a friendly basis cuz that would be super cute.
Yeah, could be cool. Someone also quoted this, and I think it's a great lead into talking about X-Men the animated series. Hey Jesse, you know what happens when a toad gets struck by lightning?
The same thing that happens to everything else.
Thank you, Jesse.
Shout out to Storm's accent. Rest in peace. Lasted one movie.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Let's jump into our conversation of the first 10 episode of the X-Men animated series. Now, I'm not going to put up a spoiler tag. This shit is 30 years old now. So if you haven't seen this
super old
by now, that's on you. And I also don't know if we're going to go episode by episode. We can kind of just jump around. My first take on this after watching it, I don't think this was marketed to kids. I don't think this is a kids show. I mean, they're talking about like a nuclear missile's going to go off. We got to, like, what 10-year-olds be like, oh no, not a nuclear missile.
As the show progresses, JP, I vividly remember the storylines from later are about like love triangles and like mutant affairs and Gambit like boning down with Rogue and like it is for kids, but it's wink not for kids. There is,
I mean, it was a Saturday morning cartoon show is what it was, but you're right.
Yeah. It is like that about it. I kind of feel like some of the stuff at least
I think it's great.
Reminds us that like you don't have to necessarily talk down to children because people use this as an excuse for everything, like, oh, well, you're indoctrinating kids. And this show had a huge, like, half the fucking plot is slavery and how everyone wants to use these mutants for their own nefarious deeds, whether that's apocalypse, whether that's them, building Genosha. Like, everybody is just trying to get what they want out of them. And, like, nobody sat there and said, this is not appropriate for kids to learn. Because, like, it's like, bitch, that should happen. And putting it in a cartoon show is a lot easier way for them to digest it and make sense of it than, to prepare them for having those conversations,
Let me ask you guys a question.
Later.
Because that brings up a crazy point that I had not considered. If this show came out today, the exact same way, the exact same storylines, could it exist, or would Twitter just be a fucking like mess and it would get canceled to oblivion and Marvel would have to like stop making it? If it was marketed to kids.
the first episode is a lot of Jubilee being like, why me? Woe is me. My life sucks. I'm just a mutant. Why don't people leave me alone? It's like really, it is clearly written in a way to describe the situation to kids, right? So like every character in the first 2 episodes, you know everything about them by the time those 2 episodes end.
Yeah,
Everything you would
like one
ever
or two
need to
lines.
know.
You're right.
Yeah, like even Rogue, while they're running to go save a person, is like, when I was young, I sucked all the juice out of my boyfriend. And you're like, why would she say that there? Doesn't matter. It's said, and
Yeah.
it like, and so
Yeah.
I think that the way the story was told is probably the biggest issue, because I know a lot of people today, especially, would be like, Jubilee is the main character and she has no agency. She is
She's
literally
such a
running
weak
from moment to moment.
Yeah.
Like, she exists to serve the story and no other purpose in those first. She's not a character. She exists to be like the person they save. And so I bet people would have issue with that and some of the other things that happen. But I think for the most part, it's pretty adult. And it, like, Beast in jail being like, I choose to allow the legal system to determine this. Like, I'm sitting there being like, Beast, don't do that shit, bro.
That's
Get
not
out.
gonna go well, bro.
It's not gonna go your way, my man. And I think stuff like that would actually play very well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would just be wild to see. Like that. The whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, I watched this as a kid. I didn't know what I was watching. Like, this is crazy. This was on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. when I was eating Fruit Loops and my PJs. Like, what the fuck happened?
What was wild is Morph's death somehow stuck in my mind. And
'Cause his
Morph
laugh.
was not a character. Morph isn't a character.
Yeah, no.
Morph is a dude
Morph
who's like,
isn't a-
Yeah,
and he
he's a laugh.
sucks. But for some reason, as a kid, I went back watching the show and I was like, hold up. He was only in the first 2 episodes. He wasn't in more episodes?
Yeah.
For some reason, he was ingrained in my memory as being important. No, he just dies. I was like, oh shit, okay. It's wild.
You know what I've like the show, because you're right, is written so funnily in places. Like, it's a product of its time where it's like they deliver their entire backstory in one line. But then in other places, it's like really intelligent, like the overall narrative. So like one of the things that caught me was like Beast is choosing to work within the confines of the legal system, of the justice system, to the extent that he even says, hey, if you guys come back during visiting hours, that's okay. This is what I want to do. But
Yeah.
he never takes the stance that that's what everyone else should do.
It's what
He's
never
never like,
yeah.
it's what he's going to do. And that's more intelligent and nuanced than some writing now. He does not expect Colossus to stay in jail. It is his statement that he's making. If Colossus has no faith in the prison system and his friends have no faith in the justice system, he is okay with that because it's what he is choosing to do. And I love that they kind of say that to kids too, which is like, because some people, this is an argument that happens now, right? Like, if I were to choose to go work at Blizzard, there would be people that would say, oh my God, how dare you go work for that shitty fucking company? Like,
Yeah.
And I could make the argument, well, I want to change it from the inside. I want to work there. And there's going to be other people that say, well, no, you can't change something like that from the inside. The whole institution has to be brought down. I'm not foolish or deluded enough to think that one of those answers is right. I would say I don't know what it is. We're all trying to navigate our morality. There's nuance there, right? And I love that this show like actually tackles that a bit, where it's like, well, this is what I believe, And I think if you don't want to hold to that, that's fine. Break out of the prison. I'm not going to, but you do that.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny and very much like very much cartoon that Magneto's just like, all right, fuck you, and then turns around and kills a bunch of cops. Like, he just
well, that I think there's like an interesting.
He just starts murdering cops in like the most Magneto way possible.
Introduction into this is fascinating because I didn't expect it to be what it was. And correct me if I'm wrong, but his plan out the gate was, I'm going to convince the X-Men to try and spring their friend from prison, also that they can get caught on film being the mutants that everyone thinks they're supposed to be. I'm pretty sure that was his plan,
which
much, is like
and then,
a very high level plan to tell a kid, like, oh yeah, don't save your friend, because if you do, you've made it worse.
You've got to let
like
them
as a child is an interesting thing to hand a kid.
Yeah, make your friends realize that everyone else hates them not, and then make them like jaded and cynical towards the rest of the
Yeah,
world.
Magneto was like going to play everyone. Like, well, you've fallen for my plan. I was like, oh shit,
For some reason,
damn.
I had a really hard time convincing my brain that like the Ian McKellen Magneto was not this character, because he's not at all. But like the second he popped up, I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, this is like nothing like the Ian McKellen Magneto.
But even and going back to what Bronze was saying about Professor X in the show, kind of a dick.
Yeah,
the scene
he
where
wasn't
he
at
like
all, yeah.
scolds Wolverine.
Yeah,
he's like, Wolverine, you're
Well-
kind of a piece of shit. I was like, whoa.
And then I love Wolverine's response of like, dude, how come you can hate your like bad past friends, but when it's my friend, you want to try to save him? Go fuck yourself. I was like,
yeah,
this is
dude,
great.
that was a great
This is
scene.
great.
That was so good.
I love this shit. Yeah, it's
There's
good
a
writing.
lot of like a lot of infighting, which makes sense because their only commonality is that they're mutants and they're
Right.
forced
Mhm.
together because everyone else hates them. And that is a narrative that's lost even now, you know? And it's like, well, yeah, they're forced to kind of band together and be there for each other, even when they don't like each other. I will never get over Jubilee kind of giving Colossus the same treatment that other mutants get. Like, there's because once again, the show reaffirms mutants are not a monolith. These are people that operate. And so they're like, look at how quickly he destroyed that building. He probably destroyed our school. Let's get him. And he's like, you know, I did not do this. You know, he's just like, you silly Americans. I did not do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, wow, you guys just profiled another mutant. Like, and then when people do that to you, you're just like, no, I'm just trying to live my life. Miss Jubilee is like, it's him, get him.
Jubilee's also
Also-
so broken in this shit. She's so
No
overpowered.
proof.
They also
Yeah.
No proof. No
Yeah.
proof at all. She just decides that it's that motherfucker.
one of the best things about the show though is they found a way to in all of the storytelling they're doing, they find ways to drop little lore nuggets in the most ridiculous yet like, oh, that checks out. Adding things like when Aurora Monroe, when Storm is trapped under rubble,
Yeah.
they're like, get her out of there, she's claustrophobic. And I was like, I see what you did there. Like you threw that line in, and now we all know, and now that's a big lore feature. Like, oh, why? Because that's from her past, though, dog. And it's like, oh, will we find out about that? And it's like, you damn well, you know we will.
Yeah.
I love that. I was like, okay, this is great. They do that at the same time they do shit where it's like Jubilee walking home. Like, I don't understand why I gotta be a mutant. I just want to be a regular girl. And then up against the wall, posted up, is a giant ass like mech of doom, and she just walks right by, and it looks over like, oh shit, she didn't see me.
Didn't they go to
Craziest
commercial
thing I've
break
ever
right after that as well? Like, wasn't that the commercial?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
They
funny.
did the
I-
fade
It's
to
a
it's
black.
Sentinel posted up
crazy.
like,
It's actually crazy. Like they have such, like I said, nuanced themes and then intermixed with kid writing. Even
Yes.
the entire bit of like, sorry, lost my train of thought. It's back. Okay. The entire plot that Apocalypse has is like so fucking nefarious, but also like the way it's marketed and like that, the fact that that line like haunts Rogue, where it's like, no, but Professor X showed us how valuable our powers are, and Rogue is just like, it's like, yeah, solidarity. None of us would ever give up our powers, and then she's just like,
She's like, these
It
sons of
is- it's
bitches.
like-
Hello.
it's like, guys, do you not, like, and that entire sort of like they literally touch on indoctrination. Like everyone else is buying what Professor X is selling, but Rogue is not really buying it.
Yeah.
You know, she's still like, I don't know about this. You know, like these are people that I'm with because of circumstance, but I don't know about this. Like, I want to have a life. I want to have a normal life. And immediately falls into a trap where it's somebody else that just wants to use her for her powers. And therefore, if you're a child and you're watching that and you're like, God, I can't believe Rogue is going to sneak off and lose her mutant powers. Who would ever do that? That's so dumb. And then you see the person that swindles her is like, I'm going to use her. She's very powerful. I'm going to turn her into a slave. in that moment as a kid, you would even give pause and be like, well, no wonder she wants to lose her mutant powers. She's surrounded by people that constantly are bothering her because she has mutant powers. If she didn't have them, Apocalypse would leave her alone. All these people would leave her alone.
Yeah.
And so even if you have like I said, that kid logic of why would anybody give this up? The show very seamlessly tells you, well, this is why.
Yep, it's true. They do a good job. And the other interesting part is, like Jesse was saying, it's not over a long drawn out process. It's over 2 sentences. It's like, bam, right in your face. Here's the reason why. Right? Like, they don't fuck around because they have the episodes are what, like 18 minutes long or something like that. They're fast.
They're super short.
Yeah.
They get through stuff so quickly, but they also are very good with like to be continued.
Yes.
So if it's going to take longer, they will not.
You get the 3D animation at the end, which is sick.
Like, I mean, this show is. I can't believe this is season 1. It is all. There is literally a scene where they fight sewer people with lightsabers.
Yes, which is a pretty iconic scene. That scene,
there's
yeah.
So much shit in this. This is the first. This is the beginning, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna go."
That was episode 5, yeah, with the Morlocks.
It's insane to me.
It's crazy how that ends because Storm is just like, "Yeah, I can't stay here. You're gonna keep ruling the way that you have, and I'm gonna go be with the X-Men."
Yeah,
that to a 7-year-old is probably like, "What? You could do that? Like, what the fuck?"
What's insane to me is that there's a moment where, like. I know they're called Morlocks, these people that live underground, which makes sense. You know, it's like a tribute. Yeah. But what's funny to me is that at one point, Storm is like, Morlocks, you no longer need to live underground. And it cuts these people, and one is like blue and nasty looking, and one is like this giant monster. Yeah. And then there's like an old ass lady.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's great.
Like an old lady, and she's like, I'm just happy to be here. Crazy. The show is insane. I love everything about it.
I hope that they draw, because the X-Men movies of the 90s and early 2000s definitely took some inspiration from this. But like, I hope that when the X-Men get introduced into the MCU, they go all in on this shit. Like, where it's not just a group of 5 people that like will do anything for each other. It's like, no, it's a group of 5 people that kind of secretly hate each other somewhat, or have like storylines happening in the background. But they're doing this all because some asshole, Giancarlo Esposito, as Professor X, is like, you guys got to do this shit type deal.
The problem with this is that, unfortunately for Disney and Marvel, they have in the past set up the idea that the X-Men are all buddy-buddy in movies. And
for the most part,
and other media in like TV and movies and whatever have done the we're a group of superheroes and we all hate each other thing. And like Umbrella Academy is a great example.
Sure,
and so
it's kind of been done.
If you like, the minute they break that out, people are gonna be like, "Well, now they changed X-Men and they're trying to be this other thing."
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, like, so it's tough.
Let me ask you this then: for the X-Men movie, do you think that the issue that they're gonna run into is like, for the X-Men movie to exist, you need to introduce a lot of characters all at once? So do we get like solo films? Like, do we get a solo Wolverine film first? And do we get a solo Magneto film first?
I think a lot of Phase 6, the reason why we didn't see a lot of stuff is we're going to get a lot of those introductions of characters as they start to bring mutants more and more in. Yeah. And then Secret Wars is going to be the like hard reset on everything, so that when Secret Wars ends, however it ends, I imagine it'll end with a reset.
Probably.
That all those things are back in the world. And whether people remember or not, that's a great question. No clue. But everything will be back into the world. And probably, I actually would love it if the only person who remembered anything was Doom. I think that'd be like a phenomenal, like, I've seen the end. I would love that stuff. That'd be great. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to wrap up. That's a good point.
Because, I mean, right now we have a lot of people introduced, but none of them except for Miss Marvel are confirmed as mutants. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, and I just don't know how they're gonna like bring them in, because a lot of those characters are so reliant upon like, if you just have a Cyclops walking around, like, who the fuck cares about this guy? Right? Like, fuck you, Scott Summers. You need some other people.
They can go 2 routes, right? They can go one like, because the route that they've gone in the past when it was like we didn't have like a cinematic universe
Yeah.
was a very simple one, right? Which is like, this is this school and
Right.
people have been here forever, and you're experiencing the story through the eyes of one particular mutant who has now seen this pre-established group of people, which is very elegant in its introduction, right?
Yeah.
But it's harder to do that now because it's like if there was a school of superpowered people somewhere, you're fucking telling me none of the MCU fucking knows about it? Like nobody knows about they've been here,
They're
they've been
in a man
you know,
inside
like
the ocean, Bronze. They're from the man
yeah,
in the
like
ocean.
it would be ludicrous to go that route.
Yeah.
And we would also have to say that if they do exist, they have not been operating as X-Men. Now, Xavier's school does have normal mutants in it. Not every mutant that goes there is an X-Men. So it could be they
Right.
formed the X-Men after. That's one solution. Like the school has always been there. It's in secret or whatever. They've got telepaths. It's not impossible to create, especially after what they did with Wakanda. It's not impossible to create this thing that they've been hidden using psychic manipulation. They
Sure.
convince people that have seen it that it's not there. I mean, we also saw that with Doctor Strange. Like people just don't perceive it if they don't want it to be perceived. You could easily go that route, and that something in the film compels them to form the X-Men from the school of mutants because, that's one solution. The other solution is like what y'all are talking about. The school doesn't exist and these mutants don't exist, and as they start to pop up, Professor X comes along and starts sniping them, people like Kamala to come to his school, and Magneto is on the opposite side of it, sniping people to come to him. Because it's much easier to hide 2 mutants than it is to hide 300 of them. And I will also say, I do think that the mutants should be like a rotating roster. I
Sure.
don't think every single one should be in every movie because
true.
that's what makes the comic books work, Like usually when they deploy a team, or even when they have a run, there's like usually 8 different X-Men teams and they have different mutants on them. That's for a really good reason. You have this amazing group of people. Why would you send in the same lineup for every problem, right?
Right.
Like you do have like Psylocke for a Psylocke problem, Colossus for a Colossus problem, and Kitty Pryde for Kitty Pryde problems. You wouldn't send
Morph
them.
for a Morph problem.
Morph is dead.
What if Morph is Adam Sandler and they just have Adam Sandler?
Dude, I would love that casting. Morph is Adam Sandler's Morph, but like old, kind of like I'm tired of this shit. Adam Sandler.
It's little
That'd be
Nicky
amazing.
as Morph. That's the point.
Oh boy.
Bron, did you read
Well, Nick.
did you read much of the Hickman run of X-Men?
Yes.
So
the shit that's
could we
happening
go that
in-
route? Like could the
Yes.
island of Krakoa exist?
I don't know if people would be okay with that route because where
They're
comic books are now
a
is
little wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like they have ways of bringing back mutants from the dead.
Yeah.
They have their own planet. They have their own government. They are their own people.
Yeah.
And every mutant is welcome there, whether they're under Magneto's banner or whether they have like their own creed and they're completely separate from any other governing law. It's actually really fucking cool. So they could go that route. They could be like, well, we come from a planet of mutants and this is our planet and this has been here the entire time. And,
Yeah. Or they could at least establish that, right? Like, cause it didn't start like
we don't want to abide by your rules. So we have our own.
Yeah. Yeah. I worry that they're just going to try to retell the movies of the 90s and early 2000s. And like, I don't want that story, right? Like we've seen that story.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I don't think it works in a cinematic universe because it's like I was saying, how would nobody know that these people have been here and operating and that there's giant machines that are hunting them down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they would have to.
It makes more sense if they're an oppositionary force, and then S.H.I.E.L.D. makes the Sentinels to kill them. That is a story I would like to watch.
It's either going to be S.H.I.E.L.D. or it's going to be the people from Miss Marvel. I think it's going to be the people from Miss Marvel.
The thing that I think that we'll probably see happening, because I think Miss Marvel falls into the category of that, is that just like new people coming into the MCU, all the mutants are going to be young people like reaching puberty and beyond and becoming like adults. And
Yeah.
so we're going to see a lot of the young versions of people. That's how they can say, well, no one could detect them because they were kids and their mutant powers hadn't happened yet. So we're going to see a lot of that. So we
That
might
kinda
see
bums
people
me
that are
out.
like the rarities, like Professor X or whatever.
Yeah.
But most of the
elders.
characters we're going to see now are going to be young people that can stay with franchises for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
That bums me out
That's what I
too,
would
because
say.
I don't think they're as interesting.
Totally. Yeah.
And
You want a
that's not
character with
really me
backstory.
being yeah. It's not even me being ageist. It's like you're 16. What are the biggest fucking problems in your goddamn life? Versus like,
Yeah.
someone who survived a genocide. Like there's so much different story there.
I think if
like
they went on a limb and gave like Magneto his own film and they went like that route to start off the mutant world to introduce the elders in a way where they get it their own film. And there's like, Magneto could run into Wolverine in the past for sure, right? Like they're both
Like,
very fucking old.
Magneto is a character that's easy to input into the world because Magneto as a character is like, why
Got
would I help
ties.
any of these people with any of their dumb problems? These humans, F them. And so you can fit him in the world because he makes sense. But Professor X, who's like, I choose not to help the Avengers and I will not fight any, like, that guy just seems like, all right, well, what the hell were you doing then, bro? Like, what was
Yeah,
your,
that's true.
why were you, and that becomes more difficult. Same thing, it's the Eternals problem. Like, wait, so you just all sat around and then you were like, well, we should defend humanity.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys think X-Men would work better as a movie or as a show on Disney Plus?
Honestly,
Well, let me
I
just
think it
say a
would work better as
show because I don't want to say show on Disney Plus because that
I think it
means
would work
something
better
else.
as a show because it's more
You
just
can
like
introduce more.
the cartoons we watched. It's serialized.
Yeah.
You need to be able to tell multiple stories with multiple characters over time, and there is absolutely no way a movie can do that properly. X-Men 2 is a great film, but it's it's a very contained small story mostly about Wolverine.
Yeah.
And if you want to tell
Mhm.
stories about other characters, it becomes more difficult. The first X-Men movie was like an introduction thing. The third one was all over the place. Even X-Men First Class was mostly about Magneto and Professor X. Like, it's harder to tell a movie version. I think a TV show it'd be a hit. If they could do it well,
It'd be pretty
I
cool.
think it'd be cool.
Yeah. That is true. What was y'all's favorite episode of the animated show? To jump back to that real quick. Which one of the 10 we watched? What was your go-to? I thought the Morlock episode was hilarious because of the Jedi
Those were
stuff.
super neat.
and,
Yeah.
like, the grandma just like being a fucking her superpower is being a grandmother. Right? Like, she just existed as a grandmother in that universe.
There's one of the things that I thought was super interesting about the show was oh god, the end of every episode they do the thing that comic books do,
Yeah.
or I guess used to do. It's been a while, but they would have like the characters spinning and then like the profile of the
Yeah,
characters.
the 3D animation bullshit.
Yeah, and I totally forgot that was a thing. Absolutely loved it. I would get upset when Disney tried to move me to the next episode because I was like, I want to see what that says.
Yeah.
But the best episode was the one where they had I don't remember what that damn thing's called, but the like mother brain of the Sentinels show up. I think it's episode 7 or 8.
That was that
Whatever that damn thing's called.
was that on the island on Genosha?
It literally, I think the episode's called Slave Island,
Yeah, that's
which
7.
is the whole
That's
thing.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Master Mold.
good.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that shit. I thought that was great.
That's
I
cool.
love but
Cable
again, that
fucking
goes-
shows up in that. Like, it's wild to me how
Yeah,
many
Cable's
fucking
crazy.
characters are like
Yeah.
Apocalypse is in the first 10 episodes of this show.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
again
so fast.
so much happens. So like the first 2 episodes, they straight up immediately introduce the Sentinels without any like we don't need to talk to you about backstory. Like they just hunt mutants and we're not going to explain why.
Yeah.
This guy just does like deal with it. And it happens and you're into it and you just don't care. And then 5 episodes later, they're like, and they're back. That storyline you thought was done, it's back. Don't worry, it's back. You're like, oh my god, okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
I
Bronze.
think my favorite episode is an episode of Rogue thirsting over Colossus the entire time. I love that her entire logic for breaking him out of prison is, well, we can't let that tall, dark, and Russian go to jail. that would be a waste of fine mutant musculature. And that's her entire logic is for
She is
Breaking
kinda
Bad. Is
one
he's
track, yeah.
Well,
hot.
yeah.
He's hot. And then the 3 girls in their fucking convertible, like, with fucking Storm and her tank top and her bell bottoms and Jubilee, and they're all like, girl party, like going on this trip.
It's
And
very
they
90s.
get they get sidetracked to go pick up Colossus from jail because Rogue wants to fuck him. And then Juggernaut shows up. Like
Yeah, he does.
that shit.
Fucking Juggernaut,
and
man.
Rogue, or not Rogue, Storm. This is my favorite part because they're supposed to be superheroes. Love kids shows. Storm picks up a fucking skyscraper and drops it on his head, and you're like, there were people in there, Storm, and she's like, nah, fuck this guy. And the entire resolution of the episode is Jean being like, well, I convinced him he was a very special episode of Blossom. And it's like, well, are we done then? I don't know when it'll wear off. Well, we'll deal with it when it does.
Da-da-da-da-da.
And no one addresses the fact that, like, Rogue possesses him, gets all his powers. It's like, everyone loved my brother. Everyone hated me. No one's like, at some point, we need to ask Professor X about, like, what the fuck happened to this guy to make him this way.
That's
like,
season
nope.
2. That's season 2.
Yeah, don't stress.
And you're just like,
Not to
what?
jump too far ahead, don't they in like season 3 go back to like the age of dinosaurs?
Yes. No, they go to the island. They go to the they with the pterodactyl man. Oh, I absolutely remember that.
And I know there's
that's
a giant saga of the Phoenix saga.
Yes,
but then
that
like
happens, I think, in
Spider-Man
season
and
2?
like Spider-Man, War Machine, the X Factor team shows up. Like
Everything is in this show.
Yeah, it gets.
I mean, look,
Doctor Strange is in here. Uatu, Eternity.
all the crazy
It
shit
gets
that
crazy.
happens that leads to the infamous "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch." Like all that stuff is in this. It is truly a classic show. It is.
Yeah.
It's
No, Charles, no. Get out of my
No,
head,
Charles.
Charles.
Get out of my head, Charles.
Oh, that fucking shit. That's such an old
Shit's
fucking
so
meme.
good.
It's so good.
It's crazy to me. Bronze, you're totally right. 90% of the characters in this show are like super horny all
Yeah.
the time.
It's very 90s.
All the time.
It's very 90s. Yeah.
Everyone is like,
Literally,
again-
her logic for breaking him out is like, he's too hot to go to jail.
Gambit, the only thing he does is because he's like, I'm trying to get laid, mon
Yeah, he
chéri.
just hits
Like,
on
that's
people.
it.
His opening
He's
of
like-
his character is him hitting on like someone trying to sell him cards.
Yes.
And
it's
then
great.
she's like not into it, and then it cuts back to her after, I don't know, something happens in the mall, and then she's like into it. Like he's wooed her by just having an accent or some shit.
The mall scene is so crazy. That dude's like, everyone, stop what you're doing. I'm just hunting a mutant.
Yeah.
Don't even stress. I'm destroying the mall, but this is fine. And then Storm is like, don't worry. I'll handle this. And flaps
She
her
just flaps
arms
her
and
arms,
flies into the...
That's real wild.
Shit is crazy.
The arm
I
flap shit was real
absolutely
wild.
love this show. It is insane.
Yeah. It's definitely like it's a product of its time, and I don't think anything will ever exist the way that this show exists in the
Mon
future.
chéri, I'm gonna throw these cars on
It's
these
like
guys.
when they talk about remaking Daria.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's like, well, if we put a show out like that now, young people would just say it was a downer because I think being depressed was more okay for us as teenagers. For us to be very pessimistic or nihilistic was like cool, and it was okay, and it was normal.
It was a Gen X show. It was a show for Gen Xers who were just like, I'm kind of fucking over it.
Yeah. And so now I think if you were to now's generation is very positive. Young people are a lot more like, and so sorry, Chun-Li reference there. So I think having a show with teenagers being like, what's the point of everything?
Yeah.
But considering half of that show is dunking on, the blonde pretty girls, they would be like, what are those girls even doing wrong? Like, they're just living their own truth. They're their own people.
Right.
And, like, this girl isn't doing anything wrong. And so hating her just because she's pretty and she's popular is like very silly because she's not, Like, I noticed that even with Stranger Things writings. Like, a lot of the time, they have to create a reason for the popular characters to be bad guys other than just being popular, because that's not enough of a reason anymore. But if you go back and watch any 80s media, nah,
The
they were
popular kids were
villains
just
because they
bad.
were popular.
Totally. Yep. Yep. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Very,
Yeah, but they
very
try to
different
keep those kids
generation.
from either like snowboarding down the mountain or like getting to the concert on time, or like popular kids were always trouble.
Yeah.
All you wanted
I-
to do was like smoke and like joke with your friends. The popular kids was like, I'm gonna tell the vice principal, so you had to take him out.
I'll say
Those are the
this
rules.
about. I don't want to talk too much about Stranger Things, but they did a very good job of making you hate those characters in a very fast amount of time.
I was gonna say those
Yes.
characters,
Those people were
every single
vile.
one of them.
I hope they all get hit with a fucking skate.
Yeah, I
Yes.
hope 11 takes them all
But
out.
what I'm saying is, they
you were right in what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, we can't just have them be popular guys. Like,
Yes.
we need to drive home that they are bad people. And in fact,
They're vile
one of their
creatures,
clique that, is in a few episodes, she's like now a very popular character that people are like, she deserved better, she deserved better. But it's just interesting because I'm telling you, a few episodes ago, and they actually broke down, because I watch a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. For
Elle
Stranger Things?
Elle has a bully in this show. I guess this is maybe a minor spoiler. And the hair and makeup department said they gave her that hairstyle very specifically because that hairstyle is like evil. Like, they had to create visual cues because being popular isn't enough to make you a villain.
Makes
Like,
sense.
they gave her the feathered hair and the crazy bang and the high ponytail that's teased out to hell.
Totally.
That was very, very calculated because we associate that hairstyle with Mean Girls because of like how many characters were mean that had that. It's supposed to be like,
Well, it's
what did they
evocative
say?
of
Like,
childhood for a lot of people. Yeah.
yeah, like high maintenance. Nobody has time to do this. That type of thing where it's
Yeah.
like she's not relatable in any way, shape, or form. So that she has to have a hairstyle that's not relatable in any way, shape, or form. So they chose like the most high maintenance, crazy 80s hairstyle so that there's just nothing about her that you find like relatable or
Endearing.
appealing. You're just
That's
like,
smart.
yeah. Whereas like Elle's character has a normal like hairstyle that you would see in the 80s that, it's a normal girl would have that versus this like feathered teased monstrosity that probably took 3 hours to put on her head.
It's true. It's true. Let's do this before we wrap. We need quick takes on who plays these characters in a live action X-Men.
Okay.
All right. We'll go back and forth. Maybe you guys can just blurt them. Whoever blurts it out first. Let's go that way. Then we'd be stealing ideas. Who plays Cyclops?
Cyclops?
Yeah.
Does he have to be
Any casting.
John Hamm.
John Hamm?
John Hamm's not a bad idea.
No, I think he could do it.
He's got kind of the face. He's got the hair. They'd have to probably dye it because he's unless we don't go with the brown hair Scott Summers, we go with the black hair Scott Summers. Actually, no. John Hamm is Mr. Sinister. I'm
Oh, okay.
Although he can't really pull off the like casual Mr. Sinister. The like normal human Mr. Sinister. Ooh, someone said Tom Cruise is Cyclops.
Tom Cruise is a little too old for Cyclops, though.
Henry Cavill, I think, is potentially might actually play him, but it's not bad.
Oh, man.
James Marsden, he already did.
You know who would have been great? I think he might have hit too old now.
Yeah.
Just for the MCU, but he's still Chris Pine would have been a fantastic Cyclops.
Oh, you're right. He would be
good. Like a younger Chris Pine would have nailed that.
Yeah. I agree.
Damn.
Like he would have been good.
Yeah. Oh, I can see it too. I can see him with the things on with his little like hair swoop. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, also the guy
he
who
would've
played
been good.
young Han Solo. That would also be a good cast.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one, Blitto.
Mhm.
What about Jubilee? Who plays Jubilee? Also,
Oh
is
my God.
Let me ask you: is Jubilee even a good character?
No, Jubilee sucks.
Jubilee's kind of trash. I don't know.
Yeah,
who
Jubilee's
plays
not
her.
great.
They would have to rewrite her character to actually have some. I don't know anything to have anything.
I don't know.
No,
I
Zendaya
don't know an
cannot play
actress who
Jubilee.
Jubilee would be of all the characters like the youngest one, right?
She would have to be a kid actor,
Mhm.
like a
She'd probably
teenager.
have
Yeah,
to
I
be
don't
unknown.
know.
Yeah, I think it would
I
be
don't
an
know
unknown.
anyone who
She'd
would
have to
play
be like an
her.
unknown.
Unknown actor
Yeah.
works. I think that would work.
Yeah.
What about Rogue?
Rogue?
What about what if you got
Rogue.
is it
Rogue.
Ana de Armas? How do you say her name?
I think she could be anything but a rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
I
need-
don't
do you
think
need-
she'd be a good
okay.
rogue.
All right. Lady Gaga could be a rogue. I feel like that could
I
maybe
still
work.
think Lady Gaga's too old.
I think that could work.
I feel like the problem is a lot of the people that we're associating with these characters would fit into
They're
the
too
old
established.
thing, but we got to think like new
Well, if we're
franchise.
going like new
you know?
casting, it's gonna be impossible. I don't know any like teenager early 20
Yeah,
actors.
it sucks
I'm old,
because it's
Jesse.
tough.
I don't know any of this shit.
Look, I agree. I can't think of any.
See, chat says Ariel Winter is rogue. I don't even know who the fuck that is.
She's the daughter from Modern Family.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Eh.
You know what? Hear me out.
All right, we're hearing
Ruth
you out.
Nega. She's got a killer
Okay.
Southern accent. I
Yep.
totally think she could do the whole like flirty, horny thing.
I
Like,
think that's a good
I think,
casting.
yeah, I think
I
Ruth
could see it.
Nega would like do really well.
She
I could
was
totally see
great
her
in,
being like, well, yeah,
Well,
sugar.
She was really good in Preacher. And she
She was
kind of
she's also
amazing.
played rogue in Preacher and a little
That's
like
what I'm thinking. She kind of had a rogue-esque bearing in that, and I think like she could totally be like, well, that's easy for you to say. You've kissed a boy, like I
Yeah.
could see her having that kind of spunk, but also being really flirty and cute.
yeah.
I
she's
think she would
that's good.
kill
also
it.
she also falls into that age category of like, boy, we're old. Like I thought she was much younger than she actually is.
Oh, is she older?
Yeah.
I
She
didn't
was
know
born. She was
I
born
think she
in
just looks really
1982.
good.
that. Oh, okay.
She just looks very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's
wow.
like
She was
Yeah.
born in
she's like
82. Holy shit.
82. Yeah.
She's older than us.
So
I mean, but
she
you
just looks
have
great.
33-year-olds playing teenagers in Euphoria.
right.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely, it
Yeah, yeah.
works. But I'm thinking
So
like, all right, the first movie would come out in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
So, and then you'd have to stay with the franchise. Disney just wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
right? Like she could be a phenomenal actress,
mm,
but Disney doesn't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
They're like, can you be in this franchise for the next 20 years?
True.
So
We've
that's the problem.
we've discussed Wolverine. What about Gambit?
Yo,
Gambit's had like some hard
Gambit?
casting. Like he's been cast. I think what's his name? The guy from Friday
Channing
Night
Tatum.
Lights. Yeah, well, Channing Tatum was originally supposed to be him, and then the guy from Friday Night Lights as well was supposed to play him. Who I
They
thought would have
cast
been great.
but they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, yeah. Like the movie got canceled, I think, at Fox back in the day. Pedro Pascal. No. Ryan Gosling would be a cool Gambit.
No, Ryan Gosling, I don't think could do it.
What about Eddie Munson from Stranger Things?
Gambit has to have like.
what if we got somebody that was actually like, a Creole?
Who's the dude?
Who is
Who's
that?
the dude
Is
from?
that the right word?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
watch this show at all, but I do know like I see news. Who's the dude that was on Bridgerton but then wasn't on Bridgerton anymore? There's like a guy who was
Charlie
like a
Cox.
very handsome actor, and he was like a main character on Bridgerton, and then like wasn't anymore.
Are you talking about the
And
guy
that
from
dude-
Legion? Oh,
Oh, I don't.
no, sorry.
I don't know his
Bridgerton.
name.
I'm thinking of Downton Abbey. Sorry. I haven't seen
Yeah,
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton. Like that dude is handsome as shit. Like that guy, I think could pull off like a Creole Gambit easy. What is that dude's name?
Dan
Doesn't
Stevens.
he have like
is
a
her name.
French name too? Isn't it like
Regé Jean Paul.
oh,
Is
God.
that his name?
Jean. No, I think it's Page. I was gonna say I thought it was like Jean
Jean
Page or
Page.
something like
Jean
that.
Page. Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy could do it. I
Doesn't
think
have
he
a
could
French
pull it off.
name?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
wait,
mean,
was he-
his look? He has a look.
Was he just in that Netflix movie with Ryan Gosling and all them?
I do not know.
And Anna de Armas, but is that the right guy, Chet? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Chat's saying I know who you're talking about then. And yeah, I think he'd be a good
I
Gambit.
think you know. Here's what
But
I
the
would
thing
say.
with that is like if you don't nail the accent, it's just bad.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
Yeah.
that I think needs to be more like, if you could do a like Gambit with, you don't need to have the accent, but if you could pull off like a Matthew McConaughey Gambit, I think you would be great. You know what I mean? Like, even though he's far too old, Matthew McConaughey would be a great Gambit, just like personality wise.
I could see his like greasy hair.
Yes. all right, mama. Like I could see him and like pull out the cards.
Oh man.
Well, all right, mama.
I kind of just want Matthew McConaughey to play Gambit.
Right? Yeah.
That might be dream casting right there.
Hop into my Oldsmobile and let's get out of here, mama.
He'd have to put on a shit ton of muscle though. Cause like,
yeah,
he's pretty much a skeleton with some abs. Like some greasy hair. Oh God, that'd be hilarious. What about Jean Grey?
Oh my God. Who is the most basic ass white girl in all of media right now? Honest to God, that's who. Jean Grey
Anya
needs
Taylor
to be
Joy.
like. Dude, maybe.
It's pretty basic.
What is? Oh my God, what is?
Maybe.
I'm gonna see. Does the internet have any thoughts on this? I don't know who this person could be. I have to know what people think. I have no. I don't know who I would
Sophie
cast.
Turner, if she was a little bit taller, could probably do it.
No, the internet's stupid. The internet's like, who should play Jean Grey? Right out the gate, it's like Emily Blunt. No, I don't think Emily Blunt screams Jean Grey at all.
Wait, why am I blanking on
Sydney
who Emily
Sweeney.
Blunt is?
Sydney Sweeney's pretty basic,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
but still a decent actress. So
Yeah. Not a bad one. What about Millie Bobby
Hilariously,
Brown?
Anna Taylor-Joy is on this list, Bronze, which I think is very funny.
What about
that's
11?
they put her name in for everything. That's why I was laughing.
Yeah.
She's like the most
She is,
like they're
yeah,
like
she gets a ton of
Gwen
roles.
Stacy, Anya Taylor Joy, Jean Grey, Anya Taylor Joy.
Yeah, she gets a lot.
Fucking yeah, it's like everything. She's like the color black. I guess it goes with everything. I don't know.
Huh.
Jean Grey would be a hard one to cast. What about this one's tough, but what about Beast? I didn't think the Beast. I think the Days of Future Past Beast, the young Beast, didn't really work. I think
No.
Frasier is Beast was like iconic.
Well, yeah, he had the voice. He had like the
Yeah.
gravitas to pull off a beast.
He was
Yeah.
incredible. Maybe just Kelsey Grammer. Maybe have Beast just be an elder character that's like super fucking smart and like has been around, seen some shit. Yeah, if it's gonna be CGI, you're right. Just bring back Kelsey Grammer and make him younger.
If Beast is just blue, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who the actor is as long as Beast has the voice and gravitas, right? So
But if it's
looking
CG, just make it Kelsey.
Yeah, when looking at Beast right now, oh my God, his brain just left my mind. Who is the dude from Westworld? Jeffrey Wright. That's the winner.
Oh,
Jeffrey Wright is the winner.
Oh yeah,
He's got the voice.
I think he has the voice. He can definitely pull off the like I'm the smartest one in the room. Oh yeah, I think he would be fantastic.
He's already the Watcher though.
He is already the Watcher, but like it's not canonical. You know what I mean?
It kind of is. We don't know. Maybe.
Yes, unless they bring the Watcher in like as a real character for anything else, I think he can do it.
If they bring the thing about the Watcher, if he actually becomes a live action character, he's gonna look goofy as fuck. And like
Yeah,
that's
he'll look
saying
goofy.
that's saying something for a Marvel film, but he's gonna look goofy as shit.
Yeah, I think
Just a little dude with a giant,
Jeffrey Wright could
giant
do
fucking
it.
head with like a cloak that's taller than him.
Are there any other actors that
with like that gravitas of the voice?
Yeah, I don't know.
We are
I
gonna
don't
have
know
a
if there's any
MODOK,
other
you're right.
actors.
You're right about that.
Online, people are saying that Joel Edgerton would be a good.
Who's that?
It's the dude
Oh my
who.
God, he's in Gatsby. He's in.
Oh, okay. He was in
Uh,
Warrior.
Yeah, he's also Uncle Owen.
Tony Stark's dad, isn't he?
No,
In some version of this.
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of the guy from Mad Men, who's also a phenomenal actor. But I forgot
No, this
his
is the
name.
dude who is.
Oh no,
he was just an
never mind.
Obi-Wan.
Ruth Nega's husband, who was in Preacher, played some version of Iron Man's dad, and I'm confusing all of them now. Yeah, Joel Edgerton was in Gatsby. He was in Green Knight. He was in.
He's in Warriors. What I
another-
remember him from.
Oh yeah, he's in Green
Yeah,
Knight. The
yeah.
guy's like, "Don't bang my wife. See ya. Bye."
Yeah,
Or wait,
no,
hold
I
on.
love him.
Do bang my
Amazing.
wife. I believe is what was going on there.
And then also Bang Me was his
let's all
energy in that
bang.
movie.
He just
Yeah,
wanted to, he
like,
just
what
wanted
if
to fuck.
what if you banged my wife and then we also banged, and then
And
imagine
what
that.
if it all was a trick? Morgana, bitch. By the way, I love that part of that entire story. It's great. So good. It's like a nice callback to like, remember those other stories? Morgana, bitch.
I'm trying to think any other like big X-Men roles. There's a lot of minor roles like Bishop, Cable, Ghost. Like there's so many people in the show. Ghost Rider, Shadow King's in the show.
Sure.
There's a ton. I can't believe Mojo shows up.
Who would you cast as Kitty Pryde?
Anna Darmus.
Honestly, I think she could pull it off, but I feel like she seems like all of her roles recently have been a little more adult.
Sure.
And so I'm wondering if
Daisy Ridley
because
would
of
be kinda
that
good.
she can't play like a kid anymore, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Daisy
Aaron Moriarty.
Who the hell
Who
is
the-
that?
What is
She's
this?
Starlight. I think she would be,
Oh.
because while I was
Oh,
watching that, I
okay.
was like,
She would
oh,
actually be
I
really
could
good,
see her as
Bronze.
Kitty Pryde. Yeah,
That'd be really good.
she
yeah.
has that like kind of like, hey guys, because you know,
Yeah.
Kitty
Yeah,
Pryde is,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
sweetheart.
yeah.
Yeah. That could be good.
Interesting.
What about Storm? Storm, I feel like, is kind of a hard role.
To do well? Yes. Yes. Storm.
Also, with like, Storm is an interesting. Like, Storm has so much crossover with Black Panther. Like, I don't know. Like, as a
Wait,
character,
'cause I just saw Nope. I just saw Nope. What about Keke Palmer?
yeah,
She
I could-
is
I could see Keke Palmer as Aurora
Good.
Monroe. I could
she
see
is
it.
so good. I can buy that. Yeah, I can buy
because
that.
I really liked her in Nope. So I could
that's
see
already
her
a
as-
fan casting. So yeah,
Is it?
Yeah, no,
I can see that.
Yeah.
She's
She's a dead ringer.
She also
for,
has, like-
the look, especially.
she does have the look. She has the look of like I could carry this character and this franchise if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's true.
Huh.
That'd be pretty good.
Nah, that's the only person I can think of. I can't think of anybody else.
Yeah, boy. The problem is everyone I can think of is too old. Like for our purposes. If we were just making an X-Men movie for whatever reason, then yeah, I can think of a bunch of people that would be like, "Oh yeah, they're fine." But I
MCU
don't
casting's a little more crazy. Yeah. Well, we'll see. They're gonna be cast eventually. I mean, they got to be cast in the next 2 years if those films come out in like 2026.
yeah, I mean,
We'll have them
they're
in
going
the
to have
next
to.
2 years, 3 years.
Oh, chat. Zoe Kravitz would be cool. I don't know if she'd be a good Storm, but she'd be good in the show, like in X-Men as something.
Who?
I don't
just
see
love
her
her,
as a good
so-
Storm at all.
Who is this?
I don't
Yeah.
see her as a good Storm at all.
Zoe Kravitz, I don't
Zoe
see her as a good
Kravitz.
Storm, but I'd love to see just more of her existing in movies. I'm fine with that. Huge fan.
She kind of made her own bed there, though.
What do you mean? Was there drama or something?
She she was like, she came down super hard on Will Smith over slapping Chris Rock, and then in return, a bunch of stuff came out of her like really sexualizing Jaden Smith when he was young. And
Oh,
it's like
geez, okay.
so the internet has turned on her
The
quite in a
internet's
major way, and
not about her.
I kind of
Gotcha.
get it, because she was like, she had quotes under her belt where she kind of said like, sometimes I forget he's like not a man, and oh gosh, I have such a crush on him, and I'm like, he's 16 and you're like 23, but okay,
Jeez.
apparently that's not creepy. It was like a
Jeez.
lot of weird shit like that. Same thing is also true of what's her face from Slumdog Millionaire. Like, so many of her quotes like creeped me out about Dave Patel, because he was like, I think
Oh, he's
16 on that movie,
teen, yeah.
and she was 25,
Oh,
and she was
the
already
actress, like
dating
the love
him.
interest.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
I
there
didn't
was
know
a huge
that.
age gap between them, and it was like words she said too. She would always like say things like, "Oh yeah, like he's so mature for his age, and he comes off as a man." I was like, "Girl, he's 16," and
Hollywood's
they ended
wild,
up
man.
dating very shortly after that. So between, I don't know, everybody's like under fire ever since that comedian who's like, what's his name? Something Cook is like marrying a girl
Dane
who's like
Cook.
23 years old.
Dane Cook?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it Dane Cook? He's like
yeah.
marrying
I know he's
a,
marrying a very young girl, and then they were like, "Yeah, you've been married for a long time," or some shit like that, right?
but
Everyone's like,
he's
I'm sorry, what?
Or
Yeah.
we've loved each other
but
for a long time, or something like that.
yeah, they've been together for 5 years when she was 18,
Yeah,
and he says he was friends with her prior to that. But the question is, why is a man in his mid-30s friends with a 16-year-old girl? Like,
yeah. It's a little Hollywood's a little
there's
fucking
a,
weird.
I don't know.
They're a little fucking a little
So
crazy.
now there's like all these conversations happening about how nasty people in Hollywood are, and these old things are
Shocker.
getting dragged up too, which I was like here for.
Yeah.
Drag them.
There's a lot of talk about
What are people talking about, Jesse?
Michaela Cole as being cast as Storm in Black Panther 2.
Really?
But it is, yeah.
Oh,
She
wait,
was
no,
cast
no,
in a
she's
mysterious
already-
role.
I thought she was already in the film.
No, it just says Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She was cast as a mysterious role, but I imagine it's not that. I think the internet is just overthinking things.
That'd be wild.
Yeah. I'm trying to read into it and see what it says, and everyone's just like, yeah, I mean, it's all hypothesis, as the role is undisclosed still. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, but that could be anything.
I
That's
don't
just
recall
Marvel.
the stuff that I read. But who
Yeah,
knows?
but I mean, like, if they're gonna hide a bunch of shit in there, I mean, this could be the thing.
Yeah. Well, I think we can wrap it up. Are we gonna watch more? You guys want to finish season 1? We got 3 more episodes for animated series.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Super fun.
We'll wrap that
Enjoying
up for
it
next
tremendously.
week. And then the 17th, we got She-Hulk coming out. Are they debuting She-Hulk with a single episode, or are they doing like multiple episode stuff? Do you guys know? I think it's just,
I don't know.
we'll
I
at
know
least
the
get one
first episode is 35 minutes or something like that.
Okay. All right. It'll probably end with her getting her powers. You'll get to introduce her as a normie, and then she'll get her powers.
Yeah.
And then probably end up on like an island with Hulk. That's going to be the end of episode 1. Oh, that's right. It's the 18th now. You're right. It's no longer Wednesdays. They moved She-Hulk to Thursdays for whatever reason. Disney's trying to find that sweet spot.
Oh, ignore the internet. Apparently, the actress I was talking about, Michaela, is Adore Melange, which makes more sense than, of course that's what it is.
Sure.
Just give you times. Episode 1 is She-Hulk's 35 minutes. Episode 2 is 28 minutes. Episode 3 is 32. Episode 4 is 34.
Okay.
Premiere is the 18th of August.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up X-Men season 1, the animated series, next week. Do a little preview of She-Hulk. We kind of did a little preview today, but we'll discuss that. Go through all the different characters that we know are going to be in it, all that type of stuff, and then talk about the latest and greatest in the news and rumorville of who's being cast as who. So that's next week. Let's do some shout outs and we'll wrap up the show. Jesse, you want to go first?
Yeah, hey, hi. I'm so deep in on all the new comings and goings with Marvel stuff right now. I just bless. There's so much coming down the pipeline. Very excited. But yeah, this week is a whole bunch of me getting prepped to leave for Chicago to do our live show on Friday. So if you enjoy podcasts about two guys talking about absolutely nothing important, come see the live version of that. I'm sure we'll harass the absolute shit out of you and drink Malort. Shout out to Malort.
Are you
It's
drinking
terrible,
Malort?
but it's from Chicago. Oh, dude. Every time I'm there, I have to have at least a shot of Malort. One whole shot of that terrible, terrible drink. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant.
Do you guys already have topics for Friday's show?
We usually have a topic about 45 minutes before we go. And so far, every time it does well. So fingers crossed.
I need to get that Jesse Cox level of fame where I can bullshit and sell out a show.
It is, and I stress this.
One day I'll be the Anya Taylor-Joy of Twitch and just be like,
you're the Anya Taylor-Joy of my heart.
fit.
So don't even stress.
Okay, here we go. There we go.
When I think of you, Bronze, I think of you looking beautiful for some reason, smoking a cigarette, but totally depressed. Like you've hit rock bottom, yet you're still way above wherever I'll be. Yeah, that's how I imagine you. That's one of the funniest scenes to me. Is they're like, look at her. Oh, she was the chess queen, and now she's a mess, and she looks amazing. And it's just like, my life is over. I'm like, fuck. I wish I was that good when I was at rock bottom.
Anyways, now that Jesse's had an existential crisis on the show, Bronze, do some shout outs.
Hi, hello. You can find me on my Twitch channel, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram at that Bronze Girl. I went to Ren Fair this week.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just trying to play catch up. I got a bunch of new projects coming out. Oh, check out Desiquest, DESIQUEST. It's so hard for me to say. On Kickstarter, it's an all South Asian Desi Indian live play, actual play show that we're trying to make. A mini series. We just announced our first cast member, other than me and Sandeep, of course, is Rekha Shankar from College Humor. She's a writer on Animaniacs, the new Animaniacs, and on Grand Crew. And she's a former lead writer over at College Humor. So
nice.
Check out our project. And we have new cast members we're announcing next week. I've been very busy behind the scenes. So please support the things I do. Thank y'all.
Awesome stuff. Cool. That's it for MCU Crew. We'll be back next Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern for more. You can check out VODs over at youtube.com/itmeJP. And follow us all on TikTok.
And bagged and boarded tomorrow. Sorry.
No. Yeah, get it out there. Get it out there. Promo.
If you want to talk about the new X-Men comic, I talk about comic books on my channel on Bagged and Boarded. I don't have a fixed day that it's on yet because my life is chaotic, but I'm doing it tomorrow morning.
Sick.
So come through and
what time tomorrow morning?
We can talk about the new 11 a.m. Got
Pacific?
a new Pacific time. Yeah,
there you go.
Pacific Standard Time. Talking about the new X-Men comic, the new Moon Knight comic, and some other indie stuff.
Cool. Awesome stuff. All right, that's it. I gave pause there to see if anyone else had anything.
I got nothing. I was trying to be polite.
We'll see you next week. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're out of here. Bye-bye.